Hello, hello. What's up, Eris? My my Twitch bot didn't tweet my shit. I'm so upset. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, let me put my face up there. Here we go. Teddy Reckoff on stream now. Twitch.tv/MCursey. Except for he's not here yet. Wandre. What's good? By the way, I have tried so hard to find good songs that are DMCA free. That's right, Eris. PoTpFS, that's what's good. What's up, Eel? I tried to find this DMCA free shit, and oh, how I have struggled. But they all play the same goddamn songs. They play the same damn songs. This song I'm playing off YouTube on some like beats to relax to shit. What's up, Lithros? I'll get you in chat, right? I'm just playing some beats to relax to shit from YouTube, DMCA free, but they're just streaming pretzel rocks. Not that anyone gives a shit about this, but I do. Someone should disrupt that industry and give me bro, what? Oh, here it is. Tweets and replies. That's where I put it. I'll retweet that. There we go. Someone should disrupt. Oh no, I dropped the wrong. Get the wrong box of cookies. Bro, we need you in that lobby, Lithros. Hello, Peter Shoes. Yes, I refined what had already been shaven. You could say I shaved again. I did try, I don't have a picture of this, but I did try the pencil stash. The Walt Disney, like, it's just here. Bald. I was, but it's already coming back. This is, I wonder if that's audible. I better get an ASMR mic so I can just touch my facial hair for other people's obscure entertainments. I'm not going to do that. Okay, Lithros is here. What up, dog?
Yo.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How was Shakespeare yesterday?
For the parts that Spaces cooperated with, it went really well.
So Spaces is just bad.
It's not ready. Yeah, I don't think they should have rolled it out. I don't know how many people are using iPhones. I have an Android phone, and the app just completely crashes. It crashes the whole Twitter app.
Right.
Completely randomly.
I was using it, and I would try to be in Twitter, and it would just like slow down, and it was like I was using all my RAM or something.
I didn't try to do anything else. I just had the phone sitting in front of me.
Right.
And wasn't touching it, and it would just randomly drop out, kick me out. I would try to rejoin, and I would be a listener and not have the host powers. And lots of people have told me they had those problems. So
yeah,
we had a lot of obstacles. We had to completely remake the room at one point early on.
Mm-hmm.
And we lost a lot of listeners at that point.
Right.
And we never really got them back.
So,
we still had a few listeners to the end, which was great to have people. And we had a really great time, and the play is amazing.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun, but I definitely am going to wait until Spaces is fixed to try to run anything on it again.
Totally. That makes sense.
Maybe I'll just make you host it on Twitch if I want to do something live.
I did see you saying that. Okay, who just shut up? Is that Teddy?
Teddy.
It might be.
Teddy!
Hello, gentlemen.
What's up, my dude?
How's it going?
Going good. You want to play some Jackbox?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do. Hold on. Let me just. I had to reset my setup here to get ready for this, so I'm just throwing everything back in properly. Give me 1 second.
Totally, man. Take your time. Teddy's a bit quiet compared to me. You know, there is that challenge.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm grabbing my mic. I have to replug it in.
Dope. Thank you for letting me know that, Arctano. I do... Oh, you know what it is. Here, Lithro, say something.
Hello.
Perfect. Now, say something again.
I'm saying something again.
There we go.
Ooh, Lithros with the meaty voice.
That's one way to put it.
Meaty.
That's a new one for me, a novel descriptor for my voice, so
Yeah.
thank you.
I like to come up with things that you haven't heard before.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. Ugh, okay. Gentlemen, hello. Apologies for being late.
No problem, dude.
I had to reset my computer a little bit. Was being a little crazy. So
Well, here at Philosophers on Twitch playing Flight Simulator, we are quite familiar with tech support. And it's nothing new. All right, Lithros, you want to boot the thing up?
I'm happy to. I just need to know if we know which game we want to play.
Let's try starting with Quiplash. We got a pretty modest crowd, you know, low key, intimate. So let's start with Quiplash, and then we'll see where it goes. That's what I'm thinking.
Sounds good to me. All right, Quiplash.
Audience, I hope you're ready to play some Jackbox, or be in the audience for some Jackbox, depending on how many people jump in.
boom, boom.
All right, let me. And we just have to never again.
Oh, everything's looking great.
It looks good.
Wait, am I still? Yeah, I'm still connected.
Welcome, Polybane. Thanks for coming by.
Got the whole setup working. Let's go.
Yeah, dude.
Beautiful.
Let me just make this bigger. Arctano, let me know if the Teddy audio's solid. I think it should be good. All right, let's play this game. Reminder, nobody get me banned from Twitch. Be responsible, enthusiastic, fun-loving, but censorship-aware adults. All right. Jackbox.tv.
Yes, Daddy.
Egg J. You got to type Egg J as the code.
This is a good omen.
The Egg J is a good omen.
I'm not. Look, I've been on the anti. I've actually been anti-egg recently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've been pro chicken.
Pro chicken.
Chicken before the egg. Really egg plus. Actually.
Egg plus. What does that mean?
Well, you know,
I mean, it's just upgraded version of the egg. That's what the chicken is.
increment an egg and you get a chicken.
Right.
I pick it up.
Right. All right, audience. Is this just us? Who wants to get in? Let's play some of this Quiplash. How would it be?
Cheesecake? Come on.
Yeah, come on. Where's Cheesecake? Where? We already have. Okay, Airy the Fourth. Powerful. Whomst. Whomst ever. What's that?
Man, if we just have 4 people, we should do the good Jackbox game.
Yeah.
The good quiz game. Yeah, it's really good.
There's a good one. Yeah, let's do that. Fuck it. Let's just do the good one.
Sorry, we'll go back to Quiplash when we have more people. But hang on, I'm gonna have to close and restream it.
Cool.
Yeah, I was telling you, like, we played the trivia game that was not good, the one that's for a lot of people. But the original You Don't Know Jack for 4 people is very good. So
if you say
you'll
so.
see what I'm talking about. Yeah, that was your response last time. This skepticism. It does you no credit.
Ghost egg.
Disconnected.
Oh yeah, I got a little Teddy Rackavelt icon up on screen now.
Startup game has been activated.
Ooh.
Looks good, huh?
We are good to go.
All right, man.
That's pretty clean.
Yeah, dude. Got a little Translucency. What's the code? XJIQ.
Yep.
Oh god, anything but IQ.
Do you want?
The IQ discourse I raged against. Do you remember that?
There's been IQ discourse since I was a boy.
I got my start as a 17th century chimney sweep.
All right, do we need the audio for this? Do we care
It's
about
pretty important that you can hear what he's saying.
Right this way. Everyone's got a nice little screw.
that? All right, see if you can turn it up on your end.
Yeah.
Screw them and make them answer immediately. If they miss it, you win extra cash.
How's that?
The wrong answer of the game is
That's better.
sponsored
Yeah, that's good.
by-
Seems good.
I can adjust mine too if we need to.
Huge, elegant, completely impractical, giant kitchen appliances.
That's the wrong answer of the game.
Sniff out our sponsor's wrong answer of the game, and you'll end up with a great prize and serious cash.
Wait,
So
what?
a wrong answer that's egg themed
All right,
Okay.
let's get this
is
party
going to give you
started.
bonus points. There's just one.
Okay.
Right off the top, kiss my mascot. Which of these mascots is often seen with a bumbershoot? Mr. Peanut,
hell?
the Morton Salt Girl, the Pillsbury
What's
Doughboy,
going
or the
Uh,
Um,
I just guessed.
uh,
Oh, you have 6 seconds.
Player 4, time's almost. Player 3.
Wait, I'm so
What?
lost. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Wait, I was
Players
wrong.
1, 2, and 4.
I guess.
Everyone was
Were
wrong.
you thinking of this one?
Oh
Now, bumbershoot is another term for an umbrella.
What?
Oh my
Classic
God.
Morty Morton
Bomber
Salt
shoots an
Girl.
umbrella. What the fuck?
But
The
know
more
what
you
takes
know.
more than a bumbershoot? A little common sense.
so the
Just
points you
going
get,
on
positive or
everywhere.
negative, are a factor of how much time is left.
Mmm.
If you answer early, you risk more.
Got
You
it.
can gain.
Coming up next,
All right, that's good.
Thrift Shop. I'm in favor of musicians who use symbols in their names.
I am
Because
unable.
it's an
I am
exclamation
unable to
point.
choose
Questlove
something here.
uses a
Oh, is it because I'm
question
using it on my
mark,
computer
U2
and not
uses a
on
horseshoe.
Oh yeah, you really need to use your phone. I don't know if this is gonna work.
Ah.
You wanna
Wait, did you-
restart?
Okay,
did you do it
okay,
last
I'm
time?
doing it on my
Actually,
phone.
just a U.
No, you picked something last time though.
If
Yeah,
Macklemore wanted
can I
to
restart?
shorten his name
Yeah,
using his
we'll
Sure.
restart the
what
game.
would be the best
Okay,
choice?
all right.
Remember this?
Yeah, give me a second. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry, guys.
But if Macklemore wanted to shorten his name, what would be the best symbol? All right, we jumping in again. Egg poo.
So this has episodes. It's not randomized. So the first question is going to be the same. So that's just kind of got me a gimme this time around.
Oh, so you can just. Eris, what else is called a bumbershoot?
Jack. Box.
You don't want to ask Eris a question like that.
That's true. That's true. I fucked up. Eris, get in the game.
My name is Jaden Funk.
All right, I'm in,
teach
I think.
Slam poetry, but
Give it
Yes.
to me.
Nice.
cheap
There we
limits
go.
we made in China
Beautiful.
might
Come on,
kill us.
Eris.
Ah, this looks a lot more put together.
Yeah.
Interruption, but North Korea just dropped a nuclear bomb on us. Just
Wait,
like
Eris
I
is in
dropped a
here?
bomb.
Eris, get in the game.
Running the family business.
Music festival called Bumbershoot. Okay, that's great, but we need you to rejoin the game.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
To wear a matching vest just like everybody else. Ding dong, ding dong. Welcome to heaven. The most powerful words to any true-blooded American. So talk isn't cheap, but
Oh, wait, can-
is $50
Oh yeah, Teddy, you can listen to this in
Center. Hope to see you there.
Discord if you want the audio from it.
His new best friend.
Yeah, you should be getting
Oh.
it
Dry skin and wrinkles.
I can.
to the game.
Hello to
The
help
the
you
game
keep
audio.
beautiful skin.
Well, let's see. How do I do that?
Is
Oh,
Lit-
by watching Lithros. He's shit.
Mhm.
I see.
Never
Okay.
too
Okay.
old to look
Yeah.
10 years younger.
All right, Roy.
All new.
Who's
Not
Roy?
Eris, but
Face mask.
I don't know.
All right, Roy. We hope that you are ready to have a great game of Jackbox.
Hi, I'm
Jackbox.
Cookie, and I got
Yes.
my start as a 17th century chimney sweep.
Roy. Okay, wait. So we're just gonna do the same answer.
Bet before you had this
Yeah.
marked out
But you could just memorize the
before.
answers and beat all of us with us, and you didn't do that.
If you think an opponent
Played this
doesn't know
before
the
this
answer, hit the
episode,
screw
so
button
you just have
and
to
you'll
trust
force
me.
them to
I
answer
got the first one wrong that
immediately.
time, so I think I have good credit on this.
It's a good way to
Today's
signal.
wrong answer of the game is being brought to you by
giant kitchen appliances.
So wait, what do we do about that?
Elegant,
About the wrong answer of the game?
Yeah.
giant
When you are going through,
Oh,
just
okay.
keep in the back of your mind, there's going to be an egg-themed wrong answer, and try to pick that. It's just something you have to try to remember to do.
Okay.
And I have missed them many times. It's really easy to miss them.
Okay.
First, kiss my mascot.
Bumbershoot, bumbershoot, bumbershoot.
Which of these mascots is often seen with a bumbershoot?
Bumbershoot.
Mr. Peanut, the Morton Salt Girl, the Pillsbury Doughboy, or the Jolly Green
Yeah, the
Giant?
faster, the more points you get. Teddy, what are you doing?
Teddy, you alive?
Player 3,
Oh,
not
no.
much time left.
We.
Players 1 and 2. Now, bumbershoot is another term for an umbrella.
That
This
ain't-
is a classic part of the Morton Salt Girl mascot.
All I'm saying is that Twitter Spaces is not a
But
mature
you know what you
technology.
need more than a bumbershoot? A little common sense. She's spilling that salt everywhere.
Teddy, we can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear us.
Player 4. That was bumbershoot.
All right, Roy is extremely sus right now.
How so?
Got that one wrong.
Yeah, well, maybe just jumped in.
I'm in favor of musicians
What happened to
who use
Teddy?
symbols in their names. Pink uses the exclamation point, Questlove uses a question mark, and U2 uses a horseshoe.
Just wait for him.
Okay,
I'm back.
told
I'm sorry. I forgot I had my
just be
VP.
you.
I forgot I had my
Anyway,
VPN turned on.
if
I had to turn it
McLemore
off.
wanted to shorten his
Okay.
name, use
Welcome
the
back, Teddy.
symbol.
You got the last one wrong.
Choice. Mac
Okay,
this,
that's
Mac
a little
this,
unfortunate.
Mac this, or
Hilarious.
Mac that.
Give it to me.
Yeah, come on, Roy. Roy. What's up, Nubo Fall Games? Welcome.
Player 2? No.
What? Oh,
Player 3?
whatever.
This is the greater
Whatever,
than
man.
symbol, so it roughly translates to.
Well, it depends what you're
Mac
talking about, it being more than.
But I've heard that thrift shop song enough times. I'm ready for some.
This is
You know,
the
the
stupid-
alligator eats the side that's bigger.
Whatever, dude. The game's like, are you using society's conceptual metaphors?
I'm afraid
And now,
game shows rely on those.
Fire with love.
Bullshit.
And it's time for a 4-alarm dis or dat.
Ooh, dis or dat.
Dang.
Player 4.
Oh, okay. I'm back. I keep dropping in. I'm gonna get this figured out. Don't worry.
Turn off your goddamn VPN.
For each one, tell me if it's an online dating site or
I think we're good now.
a movie about firefighters. If it's a
I mean, I'm fine with you losing.
press the X button. If it's a
Okay, all right.
firefighter movie,
I'm gonna. Don't worry. I'll just
press the B
win from
button.
behind. It's totally
Now,
fine.
I need
Yeah.
the rest of you to pay attention. Choose an answer before player 4, and if player 4 gets it wrong, I'll split the
We're
cash
racing with
among everyone who
Roy.
got it Right. Okay, let's move. Ablaze.
I fucked up.
Tinder.
Oh no, I was right.
Score.
The hell?
Wait, it's going so fast.
How's this going?
Firestorm.
Jesus.
Unless you start doing better, you're pretty much
Oh,
unbeatable.
okay. So
This is extremely fast.
Oh.
Nubo.
Very, very suspicious of this Roy.
Roy, are you Nubo Fall Games?
Roy.
Starting a fire in my house and
Is Roy up? Do we get bots? Maybe bots join the game.
I think it might be a bot. No one's speaking up claiming to be Roy, and that was really fast.
Yeah. I'm fine with it.
Stop.
Let's fight. Let's beat the bot.
Your pantaloons.
yeah. All right. All right.
If while cleaning up the remains of Humpty Dumpty, all the king's horses and all the king's
Ew.
men got covered in his albumin, what might they later ask their dry cleaner? Can you get egg yolk out of silk tights?
These are all egg
Can you get
related.
Egg whites out of billowy cotton shirts. Can you
They
get
are.
shell
I
guess
out
it
of
must not
feathered
be this
caps?
one.
Or can you get blood out of horsehair?
Taking this one.
Roy.
Player 4, you there? Player 3?
Yeah.
Wait
See?
for it.
That's a good question.
Wait for it.
What is a sandbagger? What does that
Players
mean?
1, 2, and 4. The white of an egg is its albumin.
All right. Good job, guys.
Or as
Bad
Humpty
job, Teddy.
calls it, my guts! My guts! They're everywhere! Ah!
The hustler.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. You know what can I say?
What can you say?
Try this on for size.
Right.
Fortune favors the
Roy's gonna get us to bet real money and then
Oh,
crush
I'm
us.
starving. Luckily, I stole 18 fortune cookies on my last trip.
Wait,
to
Lithos
Lock's
is
Up.
kicking my butt.
Sorry, that's how I roll.
Yeah, he knows every fact.
Yeah, this is what you should expect from a
And
lawyer.
my fortune says, birds
Lawyer.
of a feather flock together. Okay, if that's true, then which of these bird pairs probably wouldn't hang out with each other? Donald and Daffy, Woodsy and Hedwig, Big Bird and Tweety Bird, or Woodstock and Foghorn Leghorn?
I'm just guessing, man.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I've never heard of two of these, so...
Yeah.
Number 3?
Oh my goodness.
Never heard of Big Bird and Tweety Bird?
I don't know what Tweety Bird is.
Bro, I will educate you after this.
Okay.
You don't know a little yellow bird that's very cute?
In what? There's many different
Looney
little-
Tunes. Looney Tunes.
Oh, that's who that is?
Yeah, it hangs out with the cat. It hangs out with Sylvester.
Yeah, okay.
That was the right way to describe their relationship.
What are-
Netflix and kill.
Right, he kills him. Charlie Brown is Woodstock. Oh.
Yeah, peanuts.
Here's one I like to call Leonardo Decapitated.
Bye.
Alright.
If it were based on the original Beowulf story,
Oh, okay.
which part would not exist in the Martin Scorsese film The Beowulf
the hell?
of Wall Street? Leonardo DiCaprio is Grendel, Margot Robbie is Grendel's mother, Matthew McConaughey is Grendel's father, or Jonah Hill as a dragon.
Come on. Come on.
Oh shit, I fucked up. I know the answer to this.
You can't help me. You hit me with this
Nope,
weak
the
stuff.
dragon is in there, full frontal and everything.
I know the dragon is. I just was saying Margot Robbie is Grendel's mother doesn't make
Lithos
sense.
got it
Character
before
in
me.
Beowulf,
No.
so he isn't in the Beowulf of Wall Street.
There's always a Grendel question.
Grendel is where it's at.
We should talk about Beowulf. I got a lot of thoughts on
Yeah,
that.
I'm down. I do love Beowulf.
Beowulf. We should just read some Beowulf, dude.
I will let you look if you want to read some Beowulf. I want to listen to your dulcet tones.
Yeah, man.
I love this category.
Kangaroo Peanut, Albert Einstein, or Uranus.
Nickname of star NFL cornerback Charles Tillman. Player 2, who gets the screw?
Uh-oh.
Definitely
What is
Lithros.
that?
Player 1, you've been screwed. You got
All
5
right.
seconds to pick an answer. Charles Tillman, NFL cornerback who's played for the Chicago Bears, is more commonly known as Peanut Tillman.
Fuck.
Oh my
Fuck.
god.
I don't think
Dude,
Peanut is an intimidating
every
name.
fact.
Just ask
That was a
many
guess,
people around the world
but
who suffer
it was the only one that made sense.
Peanuts are
Can't believe he got.
Player
I would have
2,
picked kangaroo.
good news.
Oh my god. Oh, Jesus.
Wow, you got murdered by that
Absolutely destroyed, dude.
one. Okay.
It's time for Revenge is a dish best administered rectally.
Oh. Hmm.
Oh, don't mind that moaning. That's
Welcome,
the
Sherlock First.
producer in the bathroom.
Thanks for coming
He
by.
came back from his trip to Mexico the other day, and he's experiencing a tiny case of Montezuma's revenge. Hang in there, Bob.
Oh God, this is the worst day of my life. Oh.
There's a lot happening
Try
here.
not to clog the
You're gonna get banned for this.
What is going on?
Considering who it's named for,
It's
what did
comical.
Bob the producer scream while experiencing his tiny case of Montezuma's revenge? Curse you, king of the Incas! Darn you, king of the Aztecs! Blast
fuck?
you, king of the Mayans!
I don't know
Or
this.
damn you to
Oh,
hell,
oh,
king
who
of
is
the
Montezuma?
Incas!
Is what the question.
I don't know who Montezuma is.
Montezuma's
Apparently
you
do.
reference to the Aztec king Montezuma II.
The Aztec sounded right. I think
Oh,
I've
got it
heard
right.
his name before.
Good job, Roy.
Hey Bob, I appreciate your work ethic, but maybe you should
Okay,
be doing
look,
this
Kersey,
alone.
we gotta take on Lithros.
Yeah, no, how? Keep screwing him. Just keep screwing him.
Then you're just hurting yourself.
No, screw him. Pick one that's really hard and screw him.
Yeah.
Why not try Every Day I'm Buffering?
Nice.
This that's a
Contains
teaser.
a prime number. What would be the most appropriate movie to stream via Amazon Prime? 8 Mile, 21. Player 4, where are you?
Bro, he's just
Oh
gonna
my
pick it.
God.
Prime numbers
What?
aren't hard. Well, whatever. Just click Lithros.
You yanked cranked out your screw, you got us all excited, and then you just sat there. Lame.
Oh, wait, that was Roy? Roy, what have you done, Roy?
Can we
Roy just suicided.
Huh.
Oh, shit.
3 times 7 equals 21.
Shit.
Prime numbers aren't hard.
Players 1 and
I hate
3.
these games.
Prime number is a number that can only be divided by itself in 1. And for some reason, 0 and 1 don't count.
47 Ronin.
Blah, blah, blah. Math.
Those Keanu Reeves?
Prime number. It took
Maybe.
a while, but I finally came up with parameters that would make it acceptable for me to sit down and watch a Keanu Reeves
Eel
movie.
slamming you in chat. Nice. I love it.
Thanks, Eel. I think I'm still beating Roy, though.
Here we have Jingle Jangle.
Hmm.
Who played the lead in Django Unchained?
Oh, come on.
Jamie Foxx.
Wait.
Oh, no.
Jamie Foxx.
Wait, I clicked it too fast. I didn't look. I just saw it at the first one I saw.
Oh.
Oh no!
What?
I just clicked on the first one.
Jamie Foxx's last name has 2 X's in it.
Bro, 5 X's is an option.
First X is silent.
I'm still
I'm sorry,
losing.
look, Eo, I'm really sorry. I figured out what was wrong with my internet, and I just brought out the stream because I don't think I could handle 2 things at once.
Yeah.
Welcome to the attack.
The what?
What? Who skipped it? All right,
Probably
when
Roy.
the 2 things match, you have to hit the button.
Great fictional sound.
Okay.
If they
Okay.
don't match, you will lose points.
Okay. I don't know these.
So easy, so easy. Not that one. No. Come on.
I don't know any of these. I've never seen any of them.
Destroyed. Could have been once. These are so obscure, man.
I don't know any of these. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Come on, I hit the button. Oh my god, who is this guy? What is he doing?
Oh my god. What is Wild Stallions?
Wild Stallions!
I've never heard of this in my life.
I pressed the button. I pressed that one.
Yeah, it's really hard competing against me on this because I have no latency.
Boomers. A couple of boomers. They actually know what these are.
I know some of them. Because I'm a
heard
slightly
of-
less of a boomer than Lithros.
I've heard of Love Actually. I've never watched it. I've heard of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Never watched it.
It's wonderful.
I got this.
I'm taking the big L here. I've watched The Big Lebowski.
Fuck. I didn't mean to press it. I just got excited.
Wow, chat is really watching my lack of cultural knowledge here. I'm just gonna simply not press the
Bro, I pressed it. Fuck.
Mm.
Dude, we're getting wrecked here.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Roy.
Player
Oh
one
my
with the lead.
Look at this guy. Look at this freaking
No,
dude.
my-
Ate those other 3 for breakfast, along with juice, toast, milk,
Oh
and
my
fruit. You end up with
Oh my god.
Okay. All right, we can go back to
34,000.
that now. We can look away from your shame.
Yeah.
I yeah, don't know what you're talking about here.
Good job, dude. Alright, dude. We're just gonna fly a plane around. That's my plan.
All right. No more Jack
I don't want to get embarrassed again.
Well, Quiplash is just a good fun between friends.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Is there a reason that you are in charge of now, Lithros, did you by any chance propose this as an idea for the stream? Is there any reason that you're
Actually, I did not mention it, and I didn't realize Kersey wanted to do Jackbox for this one, so I had to frantically run around. But, now you've seen that game actually is better. It's more fun than the other Jackbox game.
I thought no,
but
Quiplash
I
is
can
better.
see why I can see why you think that one would be a little more fun with this. Yeah, no, totally.
I think anyone would see it was more fun. In this particular case, due to various technical difficulties, only I.
I think that Quiplash is better.
No, I mean, for a group, Quiplash is probably better in general for like a party game kind of thing. But I did want to give
Right.
that one a shot.
Sure.
So, I won't suggest it again as long as Quiplash is an option. Although Quiplash gets pretty stale with just 4 people.
Right. I guess for the
Yeah,
number of
that's-
people, it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
It's reasonable. Hold on, I'm just
All
gonna.
right, if you guys are ready to fly, I'll just drop off the chat so that Teddy can be the star.
Sounds good. Well, I mean, you've already stolen the show with your outrage of a maneuver with this ridiculous,
And-
absurd game.
And may I point out his beautiful voice? So he's stolen in two ways, really.
Do you have a
All right,
great
back
voice?
at you, Teddy. I'm just glad I get to listen to you for the next several
Yes.
hours.
Yeah, you ready for me to troll just mightily?
That's what I'm here for.
That's why we're here.
I'll be in the text chat.
All right, man. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate the lending of the Jackbox library.
Hey, anytime.
All right, but it's time for some tech support.
Tech support, yes, sir.
Because
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good on my side now. By the way,
we're good on your side.
I finally figured out what the problem was.
Yeah.
It was that one of my work drives was syncing to my computer. It was destroying my connection.
Uh-huh. Your work dry. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me see if there's a certain music I can get where I think I would have favored it or something. But I don't know if it is.
Dang, you got some loyal subscribers up in here.
Dude, we got a lot of people. We got a lot of great
my
people.
word.
Yeah. All right, we'll go with this. All right, do you want there? You're not going to hear any of it, but do you want there to be really intense cyberpunk music, or do you want there to be,
Sure. Or
alternatively, chill like beats to study to?
Oh,
type music.
that's a good one.
Yeah,
Can you do them both at the same time? No, I'm kidding.
I'm no reason why not.
As a fan of the Tenet soundtrack, I lean heavily towards the first one.
Towards the infer, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. However, we do have a little. Why does this look so fucking weird? Why is this happening? Dude, it's just glitching out so hard. All right.
Oh, look, it's streaming.
Do you see how stupid it is? Why is it so stupid looking? Sorry, guys. It's tech support time, I said. See?
Eris says, pay off my college bills with all this fake money. Let me tell you what, that's what crypto is. It's fake money that's going to pay off all my college bills, I swear.
Yee. I know what to do. I just need to make this be general. No, not assistance. Options. General.
Scuff stream. The best streams are scuff to that.
Graphics. I do need to okay, no, the render scaling. I do need to reduce the object detail slightly. Camera mode. Oh yeah, we got to do graphics full screen. We're gonna try that and see if that helps. Keep changes.
So how are you doing this wonderful Tuesday, Curse?
I'm doing pretty good. I don't like that my fucking tech isn't working here. I gotta admit, but we're just gonna do display capture.
It do be that way sometimes.
Do be that way. All right. How's this look? That looks good. Now I just have to move below everything.
Oh my.
I've gotten good at this. I've gotten pretty fast at this.
I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what's happening, but it looks impressive.
Yeah, man. Fly and save. Well, let's fly a plane around. Oh yeah, wait. You wanted intense music.
Yeah.
All right,
But
dude.
keep it low so people can hear us. But intense music is the way to go.
Totally. Well, we're gonna go with this Monarch shit.
That looks what a thumbnail you got there.
They have so many crazy thumbnails for this channel. I'm very grateful to these guys for their shit.
That's some nice artwork.
All right, this is chill. I'll turn it down if I need to. All right, dude, let's fly a plane.
Yes.
Where do you want to go in
Always
the world?
wanted this. That's a great question. I'm thinking, I would love to go to the Taj Mahal.
Oh, cool. Good idea.
I don't have any reason for that besides that the Taj Mahal, that my brother and I always wanted the Taj Mahal Lego set when we were little, and we never got it. So
Oh shit! And probably even now you could barely afford it. All that shit's so expensive.
yeah, the Lego sets, dude, they become collector's editions. Those things have escalated in value.
So do you want to start there or get there?
Let's. That's a. I didn't realize we could start from there.
Yeah.
Let's start from there.
Yeah.
And let's go to Bangkok.
Okay. Now there is this challenge, which is that I don't know where Bangkok is.
That's Thailand.
And
can
also,
we get there?
well, it's going to take as long to get there as it would take in real life.
Oh, okay.
Because
That's
right,
because we're in a simulator.
it's a simulator. So that would take us, it seems.
Yeah, a little long. That would take us a while. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, 6 hours.
Okay, well, let's pick something a little more in range. Is that in range of the Himalayas?
I don't know. Where's the Himalayas?
I think they're in Nepal. Yeah. Can we go to Everest?
This looks like mountains.
Yeah. Just go to mountains. Just like go somewhere to mountains. I want to see you try to navigate through mountains. I think that would be a great viewing experience.
Perfect.
Yo, what's up, Bill? Let's go.
Those are the Himalayas. Thank you, Eris. All right, dude. We got to choose a plane. Now, by the way, watchers, if the audio balance is iffy, just let me know. I can fuck with it. But we do have this very hype cyberpunk sounding shit. Teddy.
Yeah.
We have options of different types of planes. I'm going to give you the arrangement, the categories. Fighter jet, easiest to fly, fast as hell. Big planes, very, very fast, humongous. Mid-sized kind of wing planes, as I like to call them. A lot of them are slow and bad, but they look cool. They are attractive on the outside. Very weird planes, they fly low. No one even knows why they made them. Jets, those are fast. They're nimble, not as fast as a fighter jet, but they're still cool.
Yeah.
And I would say that those are the categories. So jets, wing planes.
As a space imperialist,
yes,
I think that we're gonna have to go with the fighter plane.
Dude,
I don't really think there's another option here.
I love you. All right, and we get to choose a color as well. So.
Oh my. Okay. Well, gold needs to be a big. Oh wait, they actually have. Okay, they have presets.
They have presets. I wish I could pick any color. This, I don't know, dude. The Royal Malaysian Air Force. It's kind of yellow and black.
Yeah. That's close.
Dude,
that's
it's beautiful.
Close.
You're speaking my language. One vote for Gulfstream G. Do we have that? I am going to go with the fighter jet with Gulfstream. I just want to know if we have the one that Adam said. EIG. I don't know if we do. All right, well, I might. Let's go to India, dog.
Let's do it.
Oyster, I don't know where Kathmandu is.
That's a secret. No one does.
No one knows.
Actually, no one does.
It's not a democracy.
Let's fly. Let's go fly to the the Fountain of Life real quick.
Yes. Let's go to. What's the? What are the different cities, like mythological cities?
Like Atlantis.
Atlantis, but there's a bunch of them.
Yeah. I don't. That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head, actually.
I played all the Uncharted games. Hyperborea. I played all the Uncharted games, and I should know.
El Dorado. Yeah, there we go.
Hold on. El Dorado. Yeah, Shangri-La. There we go. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. Oh, it looks like we're just gonna start in the air. Hell yeah, Doc.
Sweet. Good
Easy.
luck. Here you go. Look. Oh my goodness. What a beautiful craft.
What a fucking place to start. Oh, let's turn the engine on. That would be useful.
That's a good start.
I think I see the Taj Mahal. Let's just go down.
Okay.
Oh, this does look beautiful.
Yeah. Let's take a look at it. Dang. What a good looking game.
It is good looking, and this plane is great looking, to be honest. Oh.
Yeah, it really is. That's fantastic. Oh man. So wait, do you play this a lot, or do you just play this on stream?
Honestly, I get enough of it playing, 3 hours a week on stream. But when I first got it, can't zoom out more. When I first got it, I would listen to podcasts and stuff and fly around. I could play it more, for sure. Let's put those wheels away. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't see anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh. Well, we can take them back out. Taking the wheels out. See that?
See 'em.
Put them back.
That's skill right there. I think that's an experienced pilot would probably have trouble doing that.
I'm great at this game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna go real slow.
Okay, let's take a look.
Over the. Let's lower down a little bit.
The big Taj.
El Taj. We can do a few passes if you want. I can also pause like in the air. Let's
You
just.
can.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, let's just go.
Very realistic, actually.
Look at that.
Oh my, dang!
There it is.
What a spot! I didn't realize it was on a river, by the way. Now that is a real. I wonder how much the rent for that place is.
Hold on, let's come in from the other side. Because I think that was technically the back.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Give the viewership a nice little.
Also, I love how the city leads up to it. That's quite beautiful.
That's a really nice little touch there. That's sort of what you want your Hayekian development to sort of lead into something like that. It's good little central point for the spontaneous organization.
I feel like this was very centrally planned.
Yeah, almost certainly. The nice little squares that we got going there.
Yeah.
A little bit of chaos though. A little bit of chaos.
It's a mix. It's a unity.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna try to not crash into the. Well, I paused.
Oh.
Cool.
Dang. Yeah. Dang.
It's also humongous, by the way. I mean, it looks small from here.
Yeah. I think it's really difficult to get a sense of scale from the air, but.
I can show you, by the way, the inside of this plane.
Oh man. Yeah. Give us a tour. A little cramped in here with you, but I think we managed to fit in here.
2 people technically fit. So if I go from the outside,
Sure.
that's us, man.
Oh my! Well, look, we're absolutely. This is a lap of luxury.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, we got room.
I'm chilling in the back there, just along for the ride.
Yeah.
Just harassing the whole.
Grasping the thing. Yep. Look, it says rescue, and I'm gonna put those wheels away.
Yeah, smart. If we're gonna make it to the mountains without you crashing, I think the wheels. We're gonna want the wheels away.
All right, man. Shall we go towards the mountains?
Let's get it started.
Let's do it.
Dang, they give you a little waypoint in the air and everything.
Yeah,
that's not very real.
That's true. That's unrealistic.
I think this is the upgrade to Google Maps. Google Maps I think needs to what they need to do is design drones to hover in front of you and show you where you need to start going. Right? I think that's the future of, because you're so distracted by looking down at your phone.
Right.
When you get it up.
Oh, like holographic,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In fact, I think that's infrastructure, in my opinion. I think Joe Biden should fund this. He should pay Google to do this.
To make drones?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think drones are infrastructure. But only Google drones.
I really like the look of this ground here. It's very soil's very earthy.
Man, bro, look. This dirt is hot. Let me tell you what. Woo! Never seen such good dirt in my life.
Dude, am I wrong? Does it not match the aesthetic of our cool plane?
Look, all I'm saying is if you're trying to find our plane from above, you're going to have a difficult time.
Yeah, you cannot even see our plane.
Nope.
I can't.
How are you flying right now?
I can't even see the plane. Universal trash cans for raccoons is infrastructure.
Okay, all right. Look, we've upgraded dumpsters, not trash cans. Please get it right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it looks so good though. Gotta screenshot that for later.
Yeah, yes, sir. Absolutely. Anyway.
So
flying around.
We're flying around. We saw the Taj Mahal. You were talking about.
Always wanted to do that.
Always wanted to do that. Yep. So you can check that off your list. You don't have to go anymore.
Cool. Cool.
you're talking about you wanted the Lego set of the Taj Mahal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, Legos
Yeah.
were interesting when I was little. Number one, the problem with Legos as a young kid is what you end up doing is scattering landmines for the parents, and as amusing as that might be to you,
Yeah.
it's not so amusing to them. So you get a little interesting attempt, sort of a battle between the parents and the kids, right? The parents
Right.
always want the siblings to clean up anyways, but they really want them to clean that up when they're having their feet impaled. So, yeah.
I have a weird story about that. Have you ever seen Home Alone?
Yeah, of course I have.
Yeah, all right. I mean, you hadn't seen, what was it that you hadn't seen during that fucking game?
Every single
Tweety
one.
Bird. You know Tweety Bird.
Oh yeah.
Home Alone. They're putting thumbtacks on stuff, right? And
Yeah.
Lithros is mad that I guess you haven't seen Bill and Ted. That is something that should be corrected. When I was a kid, I saw that, I loved it, and I put thumbtacks on my stairs. I literally remember. I remember like finding some thumbtacks and like putting them on my stairs in a way where it's like was not going to be seen, and I just left them there. I think for like a few minutes. I thought about it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that, and I removed them from the stairs. But it was just like, that's psycho shit, dude.
Oh man, let me tell you what. As a young boy, like, hold on, my. Sorry.
Was your work computer syncing with your computer again? This looks very cool. Totem.
So see, look, the amount of dumb things that young boys get up to, is ridiculous. And so, me and my brother like to do this thing where we like fight with sticks. And my favorite stick, and we were like what, 12, 13. My favorite stick was the nail stick. And the reason for this, of course,
Tell me about the nail stick.
The nail stick had this nice little attachment to it, where at the head of the stick it had actually 3 nails in it, and I thought this made the stick incredibly cool.
Yeah.
So that was the stick I would use in the battle, and then one day in a stick fight, my brother broke my stick on accident, and I got really mad at him because he broke my favorite nail stick.
Yeah. Fuck that.
Yeah, this is, I don't know if it's just me or if it's more than just me, but young men they're a different breed. I'll say that.
Wait, so what happened? Just he broke the nail stick and you were unhappy. That's just the memory.
Oh yeah, no. So like, we did other things like.
I was waiting for and this is why my brother has one eye.
Well, right. So I shot him out of a tree with a potato cannon once.
Whoa.
I wasn't aiming for him.
Mm-hmm.
What I did is I hit the tree with the potato, and the potato shrapnel hit him, and then he fell out of the tree.
Holy fuck, dude.
Airsoft was pretty dangerous. My brother shot my best friend in the mouth, in his open mouth once with an airsoft. On accident, of course.
Ooh.
We had this big rock pile where we just tend to throw rocks at other rocks and like watch them splinter. With no protection, none whatsoever.
Yeah. Dude, you're bringing me back.
God, we would start fires inside of our house and quickly put them out in order to,
right.
Plan runaways, all sorts of ridiculous things. Our favorite activity, actually, one of our favorite activities was in the winter, when the ponds had iced over. Mm-hmm. We would stand on the ponds when it was starting to thaw, and then we would like jump next to each other and try to get the ice to crack under the other person's feet, but not yours, and tip them into the pond.
So, did you drop in the pond? Like, did you get dunked?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Eventually, everybody got it. Especially because if you like jump next to someone and it breaks, it's very unlikely that you're getting out.
You run out of ice too.
You do run out of ice, so eventually everyone's next to hypothermic, basically, or running back inside. It's great
Right.
stuff. Yeah, but boys are idiots is really the
point here.
is really the point.
So pre-verbalish. So
I mean,
I have
even-
one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a cousin from Italy, and this kid did not speak like a word of English, and he came by, and we were, I think, maybe 5 and 6, 5 and 7, something like that. And I had a pair of handcuffs for some reason. Don't ask me why. I thought this was cool as hell. And
I also had a pair of handcuffs.
great gift, great thing for a 7-year-old to have. When they eventually confiscated these after this story, by the way, I was so heartbroken and upset. But just the fact that they let me have it at all for even a second is ridiculous. Yeah, dude, we had this big metal thing, thing to play, it was big then, to play on, and I handcuffed myself to it and jumped off and hung by my wrist for a bit. Just like, why? Like, no reason to do it. And yeah, finally, just hurt like hell. I grabbed on, I made them get parents, they figured out a way to get them off, but this is one of the ones I remember.
My parents should have known better. They got me a literal, it wasn't a very sturdily built one, but they got me a sword for my 11th birthday.
Nice.
It wasn't sharp. The handle broke, the pommel broke pretty quickly after I got it. But I just running around the yard with this sword at 11. And they were totally fine with it.
But also, you had the time of your life, right? I mean, who doesn't want to run
course.
around with a freaking metal sword?
Yes.
Wandry touched an electrical wire. Holy shit!
Whoa!
Did you get zapped, or did you just grab on?
I imagine.
That's what I want to know. That could be bad.
Yeah, I mean, we would do stuff we did dumb stuff I think I took all the skin off of one of my legs once by my friend, me tying a rope to the back of someone's bike and then tying the other end to the handles of my scooter. And
You tied a rope to the end of someone else's bike, and the other end of your scooter.
Tied it to under their seat and then tied it to the top of the handle.
Right.
And then he started going, and we were good for a little while. The street was straight for a little while, right?
Right.
But as soon as he starts to turn, he starts to get a small center of gravity problem and a small rotational problem on the bike, and things start to go a little haywire from there. So that's how you lose a lot of skin on your leg, which is a lot of fun. Oh, and also you don't want to wear helmets because helmets are uncool, of course.
Right.
So
I skateboarded for a while, and I had to deal with this wearing helmets thing because my mother insisted that I wear all the stuff, the wrist pads and the whatever. Total nerd.
Yeah.
Wandry says he does not remember grabbing the wire. So my friends who were also in the tree claimed I yelled and my hair stood up. Does that happen with the hair standing up? Apparently.
I guess that's a real thing. I mean, I've never grabbed onto electrical wire.
Yeah, wouldn't know.
I've been tempted.
Well, according to Wandry's friends, it's real.
Yeah, no, there's... I think the closest I've ever been is my family owned goats for a little while. Mm-hmm. And, we had an electric fence. They kept them in. I touched it once because I was curious.
Yes.
You got to give it a little touch just to see what happens. Get a
little zip.
Little zap. See what goes on. So that was man. Dang, I really feel like young boys are savages in the best possible way.
Totally. I also just imagine being a parent, I would be totally freaked out, but you got to let them do something, Yeah,
so that's why you have a lot of kids, right? Is that you can't
for redundancy.
You can't keep track. Yeah, for redundancy, number one, and two, you can't keep track of them. So at some point, you just despair and you give up, right?
Right.
And at that point, it becomes really. If you only got, here's the problem with only having one kid, right? Is that everything that they do takes on immense value and immense importance, and you want to control it. But if you have like 5 kids, there's no way you can control any of them without the other 4 completely losing their minds. So you might as well sort of, hope for the best and do triage as best you can, and that's the way.
I mean, you do hear about this stuff where it's like 22 kids and shit in the family.
That's a little crazy. I will say that. I don't know how to handle that.
Yeah, it's. I think also it's big in American history though, because a lot of religious folks and.
Yep, the Catholics. I live with a couple Catholics there. I love them.
Yeah,
they have some funny beliefs.
Are you you're a God-fearing man, Teddy?
Yeah, that's
Are you not?
Unfortunately true. Yeah.
I mean, how could you regret such a thing?
Well, my life would be easier. It would be less good, but it would be much easier if I was.
Tell me about that. I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm like in this little town.
I would love to sleep in on Sundays. That
Right.
would be that's a first principle type of easier that I would love to have.
Yeah.
No. It's sort of like, okay, so when in like English class when you're like, oh, my freaking teacher is like giving me these essay prompts, right? And you're like, these are stupid essay prompts. Why are they like limiting me to talk about this, right? And then one time she's like, okay, you can write anything you want to talk about. Just like it's like a free prompt. Do whatever you want. And then it's infinitely harder to actually think of something.
Right.
It's sort of like that. In my opinion, there's a lot. Okay, there's obviously this is sort of oversimplification, but religion is sort of like that, right? Like you live with all these things, and you're like, holy hell, why have I chosen this life for myself? And then you sort of try to do without it, and you're like, well, this is not what I was expecting or hoping for. So.
But it gives you some constraints in a way that's useful.
Yeah, Rid doesn't even want... Rid has been flaming me... Yeah, sorry, but slight sidetrack from religion talk. Rid has been flaming me on Twitter.
For related to this or related to my season management?
No. It's been completely unrelated. So her flaming of me came the last time I was suspended, where she decided to sit in my DMs and have a marital time every single time I posted a new fleet. And ever since then, there's been a small rivalry. So what I'm doing is I'm taking your side. What Rid doesn't understand is the concept of a hard-working young man who's really just looking for some validation and for a wife,
Right.
And what she doesn't get is that the season is really it's really for the audience, not so much for the creator.
Right. That's true. I'm always working.
Yeah, exactly. The grind never stops.
The grind never stops.
Of course, Rid wouldn't understand it, so don't worry.
By the way, look at this weird ground here. Look at this soil. What are these things?
Oh. Those are just gigantic sheep, actually. I don't know if you've ever heard about...
They are huge sheep, if they are.
So yeah, those are... What you want to look at is those are actually 50-ton sheep down there.
Yeah.
Wow. It's one of the greater products of India is actually...
Wool.
Keep going. I was trying to go.
It's wool.
Yeah, it's just gigantic piles of wool. They actually dissolve into the wool as they grow older. So
wow,
you grow them. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's such an amazing fact about India that I never knew.
Yeah. No, it's a land of wonders. I really think that more people should sort of be aware of this type of thing. So.
Well, Riddle Doodle is a known heckler.
Troublemaker, even.
Thank you, Adam, who has just gifted a tier 1 sub to Pre-Verbalish. Much appreciated. I need to add more emotes, by the way. We have some emotes. They're rather outdated. One of them is not outdated because it's a plane crashing out of the sky. But you might need... I don't even know how that works. I'm not a fucking heckler.
I cannot help you.
But I've got these other stash ones that are all outdated now. There, I just put them in chat. They're so sick,
Oh,
though.
those are pretty good.
Yeah.
Those are not bad at all. The stash one is a little outdated. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, it
I've
is.
got some questions about what happened there.
Yeah.
So I was gone for this, and I was
Right.
This is what happens when I'm gone. Actually, is that chaos descends and the community really can't handle itself.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, let's talk about order and chaos.
Sure.
I
All right,
feel.
Jordan Peterson.
yeah, man. Chaos has a place. It's a place for change. And so what happened? I don't know if So Adam, you just said the right thing, but it didn't make the emoji. Do you need to use colons or something? I don't know how that works. That's kind of confusing. Chaos is change, and Cheesecake may or may not be in the audience. Still, I believe we had Cheesecake at least earlier. And
He was definitely here.
hello Cheesecake. I don't know Cheesecake. How would you explain what happened with the mustache?
By the way, I will say that I am a little bit. I agree with you on the chaos thing. In fact, I would describe myself on Twitter as a bit of an agent of chaos rather than order. So
Yeah, that's true. You've also described yourself as something of a satirist. Is that the right word?
satirist, yeah, however you want to pronounce it. Yeah, that's definitely true.
I want to pronounce it the right way. I just don't know how.
I think it's satirist. I'm pretty sure it is. And if it's not, it's the cooler way to say it. So I'm gonna go ahead and say
Satirist. There it is.
Yeah, I do use. So this is I think the part about my Twitter and or my blog, which ends up confusing some people, is that a lot of what I say is a joke and completely serious at the exact same time. So when I when I describe Don Draper as the feminist icon, right? I'm both joking and making a somewhat serious point about the way that feminism ended up developing,
right,
in its later stages. And so I think people end up getting a little annoyed, which is totally fine. And I understand that comes with part of the territory. And
pitch me on this.
Fun for me.
Pitch me on this, because I've always been a fan of the law of non-contradiction.
Sure.
If you know that one.
I've heard of it, but it's been a while. Would you do me the courtesy of explaining me? Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So the Lithros liked it. Law of non-contradiction is that A or not A, right? And
yeah.
You said that it's sort of satirical and not at the same time. So I'm just fucking with you. But what do you expound?
No, for sure.
Defend your outlandish claim here.
Defend my insane ideas. So there's a couple things about this, right? Like, number one, it's much easier to tell people things that are actually true when you're joking. And this has always sort of been my opinion on this type of thing is whenever possible, you should make people laugh before you tell them something difficult. So the nice added benefit, of course, of this on Twitter is that being sarcastic often is quite popular. So, or elicits response from people that you may find funny, including people within, your own community or any sort of thing like that. So oftentimes, I won't say anything, but yesterday I managed to anger a few people in the community. A few well-known people in the community through sarcastic remarks and comments.
Great.
and as a sort of agent of chaos, I actually think that's really good,
right? Because
I think when a community gets really complacent with itself, so this is actually sort of, everyone describes them not as a post rat, but I actually think that, unlike many other people, given the fact that I do sort of actively, I don't actively antagonize people in the community over some of their stuff, but I definitely will sort of make offhand or make slightly subtle jokes, either like in the replies or by myself or in a blog post, sort of poking fun at it to try to get people. But the point is, right, is I'm saying like, look, when I when I include a screenshot that points to a historical figure widely regarded to be very evil as saying he's feminism's greatest ally, right?
Yes.
The point of that is not for me to actually say that. What it be for you? It is to be funny that anyone would actually say that, and then for you to like laugh at that, and then be like, okay, like why is he actually saying that?
Right.
And because there's interesting historical things that happened as a result of this man's actions in Europe, let's say, that ended up causing like feminism to have to like sort of realize itself in some ways. So I often think that what you can end up doing is you end up smuggling in people's ability to critically think against their own preconceived beliefs. Now this doesn't always work, right? Oftentimes we get people who react badly to this. But most often those people are actually lost anyways. And so relevant poem. Oh, hell yes. Oh, Emily Dickinson. Yes, that's great. Yes, tell all the truth, but tell it slant. Yeah, that's really good. I like this. This is a
Read it out.
Okay, tell all the truth, but tell it slant. Success in the circuit lies too bright for our infirm delight. The truth's superb surprise is lightning to the children eased with. Oh, he didn't put in the line breaks. All right, yeah, that's true. I was a little confused there. I wasn't sure where I was supposed to pause. But the thing is like, look, there are, at least on Twitter. So the real. Okay, I'll click the link. Hold on. I'll read it after I explain this. So
Totes.
There are some people who are unfixable on the internet, right? And the only way to fix them, to quote unquote fix them, or change their mind, is to be friends with them, and do that in real life. Side note: the best way to change someone's mind is to cook them dinner for like a full year in a row and constantly invite them over, and then eventually become friends with them, and you guys can actually have conversations about that. But if you're trying to do like informative stuff or information sharing online as a way to change people's minds,
right?
Satire, I think, is one of the greatest ways, because you get people who may be sympathetic but not dogmatic to end up actually being able to use critical thinking.
So they might appreciate what you're doing enough to not be too threatened about it, and use their mind in a different way. And besides, it's a lot more fun for me than being really curious, right? Like I don't want to like run through a essay where I go ahead and I like do all this research and I footnote things and I do all this to explain like, hey, like what went wrong with feminism? Because like, okay, look, number one, people have done that a million times, so it's boring. Right.
And number two, I'd have to do a lot of work for it, and I don't have that much time to read books and read essays and go through the history and understand it. And so it's much easier, but I also don't want to like write an essay that's not well done, right? So it's much easier for me to make things funny and then to comment succinctly on where things appear now, and leave the serious stuff for people who have the time and ability and energy to go through all of the prerequisites to be able to write that on their own.
You got to find your own style too. I feel like is part of it. Cause
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Go.
Here's the poem. Tell all the truth, but tell it slant. Success in circuit lies too bright for our infirm delight. The truth's superb surprise as lightning to the children eased, with explanation kind. The truth must dazzle gradually, or every man be blind. Yeah, it's a really good point, and like that applies. That's a really good poem by Dickinson, and it's incredibly true. So I would never be able to write and have an interesting like prick people's minds. So let's like say that like you have some people who are, very dogmatic about feminism in some community that I am participating in, right? And I would never be able to really bring up like serious like critiques of feminism without them immediately retreating into, well, like, see all the good that has done, like, blah blah blah. Now of course there'll be some reasonable people, but there'll be people on the edge, right, in the like in between like the moderate and the sold out, who will respond to serious and honest critique as a threat. So if I can get it in a sort of satirical way, and they understand it as satirically, hopefully, right, I can break by using shock factor. What I can do is I can break their preconceived notions, and then I can come in and make them actually think about the way that I did it and what that means.
So do you have any writing that you really like that makes you think about this genre, that informs your thinking about this genre?
About satire specifically, actually, I don't read that much satire. Catch-22 is obviously, right, like the one book that you sort of like have to sort of talk about here. But when I was sort of graduating college or graduating high school, going to college, and since then I sort of actually ended up watching like a lot of comedy. So whether it's Don Cheadle, or so a lot of the things I've watched are not Don Cheadle. Did I say Don Cheadle?
You did say Don Cheadle. I was like, did Don Cheadle done comedy?
No,
Yeah.
sorry, Don Rickles.
Okay.
Like whether it's Don Rickles, or Whose Line Is It Anyway, or some of the more contemporary comedians. I think you end up learning a lot more by hearing people do comedy rather than reading it. Reading is good for the sake of like knowing how to read and how to write. But it's a lot more. It can be a lot more helpful for doing something like that, to like watch people be funny.
Totally.
So that's actually how, and then a lot of it also came from, so there's a lot of lightheartedness in there. So there's some like the storytelling. So I include like, sometimes I'll include little anecdotes, right? In some of and sometimes they have absolutely nothing to do with what I'm trying to say, and sometimes they do.
Yeah.
And they're mostly there as like fun little sidebars. And some of that came from Lord of the Rings. I think that the beginning and the end of Lord of the Rings trilogy in the Shire is actually some of Tolkien's best storytelling.
Interesting.
I really especially enjoy The Hobbit's Return to the Shire. I think that it's maybe the most potent and powerful piece of the books, but it only makes sense in the context of the rest of the books. So like, it's not like you can just like skip, go read it, and like be overawed. You have to sort of experience the rest.
I haven't read those books since I was 14 years old, and I really kind of struggled through them then. I remember being like, God, this is so slow, or something like that.
Yeah. I was slightly too young to appreciate them fully. I think I read the first time when I was 11.
Yeah. It's pretty young for those, to be honest.
Yeah, I was a young reader, and that's all I did for a very long time. It was basically all I did as a kid.
Yeah.
So, but they were, I didn't really fully appreciate like what Tolkien had did, but as I sort of I haven't had time to like sit down and reread them all at one go.
Yeah.
Yet, but I will do that at some point, and they still are. They're better every single time you read them, because you understand more and more of what Tolkien was trying to do and try to talk about.
I feel like it's the kind of thing where you only really it like unfolds itself over time, because if I read them now, I'd be thinking about totally different shit. I'd be thinking about the fact that Tolkien was a World War I vet. I'd be thinking about a lot of that social context,
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that probably the older you get, the more you end up appreciating some of these more grand works.
Are you thinking of others?
So, yeah, I mean, so right, I don't think you appreciate the Iliad or other things like that until you gain understanding or knowledge of what things are actually like, right?
Mm.
So there's some things in books that you just cannot understand. So this is one of the things that I find funny about like people like people who sit around on Twitter and like critique things, right? Especially in like literature or something.
Right.
And they say this is, such and such has nothing to offer.
Yeah.
And oftentimes the reason that I think that is because they don't like they've never experienced the thing that makes that applicable to them.
Right.
So this ends up becoming like a really big problem with American Christianity. Is that a lot of American Christians simply can't actually appreciate a lot of what the Bible has ended up, or think they can't, right?
Yeah.
Think they can't end up appreciating a lot of what the context the Bible is written for, because they've sort of, quote unquote, society's outgrown like, you know, the the squalor of a younger age or of a earlier period.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing with Lord of the Rings, right? Like you don't understand like maybe like when you're 15 for obvious reasons you don't understand why Sam is such an important character than when you're 40. Right. Stuff like that. Or you don't understand like the tragedy. Yeah. Or you don't understand like the deep emotional like story of Eowyn and like her love for Aragorn and you just cannot understand that story without you having someone in your family or something having experienced something which brings to mind similar emotions in your life. So
total side note, we're experiencing a weird artifact of Bing Maps.
I was about to say, is someone mow? I didn't realize they mowed out here.
Yeah, they mowed it all. It's rather scarce on this side. Imagine living there and looking at this guy's forest. You'd be like, fuck, man. My forest is so bald. Degreebled the mountains. It's funny because it's just like this one chunk of it. It's just this one like strip.
Who's oyster? Don't be degreebling discourse. My God. I think I tweeted at one point. I was like, I will block the next person that says Greeble or Degreebles on my timeline.
Well, you can't talk too much shit because we have the Greeble Queen herself.
The Greeble Queen herself here. Yeah, no, I mean she didn't do anything wrong. It was the fact that everyone else that did all the terrible things.
They did it. They did wrong things.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I just said a lot of. Oh, hey, yo. Yeah, I was just dunking on the people who couldn't get over Greebled or Degreebled for like 2 weeks. Anyway, I just said a lot of things, so I don't know. I don't know really where you want to go off of that.
No problem. I'm just flying this plane around. I'm chilling.
Thank you.
I wanted to see if I could do a kind of like, fuck it, like a loop, but I sort of did a weird half loop. Well, let's turn around though.
Yeah. An Immelman? You're trying to do a little bit of an Immelman?
An Immelman? Is that a thing?
Immelman is, I think it's the, I took an air power course in college. Immelman is, I believe, if I remember my class correctly, Immelman is the Red Baron, and he actually invented this sort of loop-de-loop that would allow him, if he was being pursued by an enemy fighter from behind, that he would do a loop with, I think, a twist in the middle and come back down behind them. So
okay, I'm gonna fuck with the weather here because we can choose our weather. By the way, we got options.
Oh my goodness! They really
clouds.
This is a game.
Dear
Lord,
it's a simulator. These clouds are powerful. These are probably better clouds. We could enjoy the clouds. Broken clouds. This is even crazier shit. High level clouds. It's too high. We can do overcast. This is some spooky looking like Mordor shit.
Oh my goodness. Dang, that is really cool actually.
Hold on. We also can do rain, I think. And we can do snow. We can make snowy India. Makes no sense.
Yeah, no, I mean,
storm. Let's just do the storm, dude.
yeah, absolutely.
Let's just do the freaking storm. All right.
That does look epic, I will say.
Yeah, man.
What kind of college has an air power course? My college. Sorry, I'm not doxing myself.
College of Air Power. Air Power Satire U. Tech.
I'll say this: it wasn't a military college. I'll give you well done. It was a
test.
military college. Yeah, I passed it. So.
Holy shit! Yeah, dude, we got some fucking. Look at that. The sun through the fucking lightning clouds.
So cool.
Oh yeah, we got some ice on the windows. It's all very cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, man.
Dang.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay, what were you saying?
I don't know. What was I saying? Well,
I feel like I kept getting distracted by the cloud.
These clouds are quite distracting.
Yeah.
I am gaining altitude. At least that's good. I don't think there's any mountain I'm going to just collide with.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
I would enjoy that. I would enjoy you colliding with a cloud. That would, or colliding with a cloud. Yeah. Jeez.
Boom. Man, imagine being in this plane. You'd be like, oh fuck.
Yeah, no, for real. That's a small plane too, so I can't imagine it's a super smooth ride.
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like Lithros might know the answer to this. So Lithros actually uses a simulator that is more intricate than this one. I'm not sure it's as pretty, but they simulate the planes in far greater detail to the extent that you literally, and he could pitch it better. We might even have him on one of these weeks to do it. You can literally, you take like fucking hour to flip switches and shit. To get the plane to work. It's like a real like simulation.
Dang. Okay. Whew.
We gotta go up. DCS World. It is as pretty, but much more demanding system spec wise. Is the map as pretty? Oh, I guess the map is maybe arguably as pretty, just smaller. So we're on Bing Maps, Teddy. So
yeah, we can
this
go
is the world, you know.
Yeah.
I gotta get out of this cloud. Yeah, this cloud hell. Map's not nearly as pretty. Planes are as pretty.
Yeah, that's a good point. You really don't fly that low in a real fighter jet. That's a good point. Yeah, so I don't remember what I was talking about. I sort of lost my train of thought.
We were talking about Tolkien. Talk to me about Beowulf.
Beowulf, man, I read Beowulf. I think for the first time when I was in 8th grade.
Same.
And I've read it a couple times since then. It's really, really, really good.
Here we go.
Man, it's one of those things that. Oh, by the way, so I can say the first couple lines in Old English actually. What way Gardena in Yardagam, Theod Kuninga, Thrimmy Frunan, Hu da Alingus Thremunon? I think that's the right pronunciation. I can't remember it precisely.
I mean, I'm not going to correct you.
It's a nerd, she says. Yeah, I took an Old English course in college as well. So
Old English medieval air power course.
Medieval, yeah, it's actually medieval air power. So it was dragon theory.
Yeah.
So you talk about figure 8 dogfighting with dragons. It's actually one of the things. Figure the proper. I should see that transcript. You don't want to see my transcript. It was not great. For other reasons, actually. It was because I almost died in college. But I did write an article on one of the last seasons, the last night episode of Game of Thrones. Because I thought it'd be funny to do something with someone who to do a parody of someone who's still hung up on like some old cultural phenomenon, you know, they haven't let go of. And that was the only thing that I could think of that I knew enough about to like be super nerdy on. So one of the things I did do was I critiqued Jon and Daenerys' use of their dragons, and
through the lens of air power.
Yeah, through the lens of air power. So the proper way to employ the dragons in that battle would have been to designate one the bomber and one the fighter escort, and then so you have, because they didn't launch the dragon until late in the battle, and then they only got a few passes in because they were scared of the Night King. So what you do is you have one dragon up above the bomber dragon, and it's doing like circles, or not circles, but it's doing it's sort of mirroring the path of the bomber, but from way above, and so it's waiting for the other one, and then anyway, it's a whole thing. So
Lithros, what does cap mean?
Please don't tell me you're that old. Come on, Kersey.
What?
You gotta be a little more off on the lingo. If yeah, there it is.
Okay. Combat Air Patrol. What am I supposed to? What? I don't get it. Someone explain this to me. Explain this reference I missed.
Kersey, define stack and tell us what. God, I know.
Thanks for following Trip Roberts.
He doesn't know. He runs an airplane show. He doesn't have any emotes.
Bro,
Kersey, could you define what kappa is? Do you know what that is?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. No, I don't.
You know what? Poggers.
Poggers is an emote on Twitch. Okay. That I know.
How do you know poggers and not kappa?
Bro, just listen. This show, Teddy, is about the love of wisdom. And I am a lover of wisdom. And I seek to be enlightened by means of your aid.
By means. Okay, I'll
That's
enlighten
right.
you.
Enlighten me. It is a civilian airplane show where I do fly a fighter jet. That's true. But we don't ever shoot anything.
That's unfortunate. We really should create this a little more warlike. No, Kappa's like, it's too hard to explain.
It's just an emote. It's an emote.
Yeah, it's an emo. It's like, oh, I was joking, or you're being a Kappa. Like, it's hard to explain. It's
I'm googling
if you don't know, if you don't know, you don't know.
If you don't know, you wouldn't get it.
So
I'm googling it, dude. How do you spell
it? Go ahead. It's in chat. Kappa. And you can say that's a cap, right? That's cap.
Right. Oh shit! I gotta
say that's cap.
That's cap.
Yeah. So if you're like, bro, that's cap, right? Oh, are you gonna crash? Okay.
Nah, don't worry about it. I'm doing this with. I'm playing like this. Look at this. I got no problem.
So,
no biggie.
So if like, hey, bro, that's cap. That's like, oh, that's wrong.
Teddy's fucking with you. Yeah, I don't believe you.
I'm actually not. Whoa, hold on. That's cap is something that I actually say. Come on.
If you bottle the Kappa, now I do know this. If you bottle the Kappa, it has to bow back and spills its forehead juice and gets stunned. That's true. I do know that.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
That's Japanese folklore, bitch, that you didn't know.
Okay, I've only read Musashi, so that's about all I know.
I mean, Musashi's pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's really good.
We do like Musashi.
Actually, I got given that as a gift by my high school principal at my college graduation. So that was an excellent gift from him.
For your samurai air power, medieval samurai air power.
Medieval samurai air power, yeah.
Capstone, of course, yeah.
No. I actually wrote about. I actually did my capstone. Well, my yeah, right. My version of a capstone on the Chinese interaction with Latin American space in their space industries. So that's actually I knew a lot about space before I memed myself into space imperialism.
Oh yeah. Oh, check this out. The tip of the fighter jet is icy.
That is. Is that dangerous or cool? It's probably both.
Probably both. It's like the plane just had some coke. Look at this crazy lightning shit, dude.
Oh man. Whoa, lightning. That's awesome. Yeah, so I don't know. What else yeah, like stuff like so the stuff I did in college, right, like made me write the whole thing about Mongols being able to navigate, across huge amounts of territory without any sort of navigational tools.
Mm-hmm.
That was sort of what I wrote my first essay on.
That's cool. I have a friend who actually traveled in Mongolia with a dude in an old Soviet tank with a one-eyed dude in an old Soviet tank, and they traveled over miles and miles. They would like drive for 6 hours over, holy shit, that lightning, apparently indistinct territory.
Yeah.
And this dude would...
The step all looks the same, by the way. So to anyone who doesn't know, like, who hasn't grown up there,
exactly,
the steppe looks like just one gigantic the sameness. Anyway, sorry, keep it going.
It's interesting. We actually haven't done Mongolia. We could go to Mongolia.
Yeah, I'm fine with going to Mongolia. Yeah.
Could take a look. But yeah, this guy would find like a little spot. He would find like a little settlement after just driving in a direction, no GPS.
Yeah,
he just knew where he was going. So maybe it's not all dead.
Yeah, I mean, like, technology can be good, right? But you definitely do to not acknowledge that you give something up when you employ technology. I think it's worth acknowledging the fact that marrying people to technology does end up taking something away, whether or not that thing is useful in the first place, and whether or not if you have technology you ought to care that you're giving it up is a whole different story,
right?
Obviously, but you should at least be upfront. Oh my goodness, we should at least be upfront with the fact that to some extent you are giving something up.
Yeah,
and so that's why I sort of why I sort of strawman the algorithm to some extent. You'll see me talk about the algorithm, some of my tweets or stuff like that. It's sort of people take this ability to take technology and data and all this stuff. Is this unalloyed good? And they're probably right. Like, it probably is good, but it's not a bad thing to sit around and be like, okay, what are we actually giving up, and is that something worthwhile? So
totally, I'm with you. Side note, by the way, audience, if anyone wants to call in and talk to Teddy about anything, we do have that option. The way to do that.
I will talk to you. I know that I have been. I'm sure that people have seen me comment on a variety of things, and I will talk to you about literally anything. So
yeah,
whether I will come clean about people that I have not beefed with, but mocked in the community. I'll come clean on.
Do you have beef? I'm not super caught up, but I don't know. Do you have any beef? How serious is the beef? What do you? You don't have to make any moves.
No, I don't want to like make it. I think the closest thing that I have to beef is I made fun of Visa for saying Kanye. Well, I make fun of Visa. Never mind. What's my deadlift? So I do 5. Okay, very, very long story, really super short. I was really, really ill for a very, very long time. And I am restarting my 5x5 workout. And so I'm only at like, I don't know, 230, something like that right now. Which is like not terrible, but it'll get up there.
You got to get back into it. You got to do it at the right pace.
Yeah. So by the way, that's doing like 5. That's not my 1 rep max. But I'm taking it slowly just because I tried to go lift after I got diagnosed and started taking meds, and I've been like quote unquote healthy for a couple of years now, but it's one of those things that doesn't ever really go away. And I tried to lift like a year into my recovery, and I almost passed out in the gym. So
right,
I'm taking it slowly. So Visa tweeted something. Kanye's genius being due to Kanye's brilliance was due to his decision-making ability. And I Byron. I mean, good riddance. Good riddance. Thanks, dude.
You can always check in, Riddle Doodle, to let me know what the plan is. But yes, no, we did exactly what we did last time, which is we had one episode in between. Just saying. But have a good day, the rest of your evening, or whatever it is, Riddle Doodle. We love you.
Anyway,
so
I mocked him for it. Well, I didn't mock him. I think I tweeted something like, imagine thinking that the reason Kanye is great is because he makes good decisions.
Imagine thinking that thing that you think.
Right, yeah. And, it was more specific. I think I said, I can't remember which album it was, but I took one of his albums. I think I said, imagine thinking that this album was great because Kanye made good decisions. It was only because he made good decisions, right? And my point was essentially like, look, like in an attempt to say something profound, I think that what ended up happening is that I won't get into it, but anyway, there was a whole, he jumped in the thread, and then
right.
I think he was annoyed that I was only poking a little bit of fun at him because he was right, like he was not incorrect, right?
Look at this alpine lake.
Oh my goodness,
it's beautiful. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
You do have to have good, like, if you don't have the ability to make good decisions, you can never actually execute on your inherent ability. But to judge ability simply based on the decisions that people make gets it somewhat wrong. Anyway, there was this whole talk about the girls. Okay, I'll hold on. Yeah, okay, I will talk about this in a second. Anyway, so that ended up becoming sort of then he got annoyed, and then I don't know if you know Rune.
I do.
Yeah. And then Rune like jumped in, and sort of it became this thing where, and then he subtweeted me for the rest of the day, and I was like, all right, whatever.
Right. Right. All right.
So
no, I mean, it's that's a good example.
I know he's got a lot of respect from people in the community. I know that he's probably super smart, and I've seen some of his tweets places. He's seems like a decent dude. I don't have anything against him. It's just he couldn't.
You just disagreed about Kanye West.
Yeah, and then so.
I am a Kanye stan myself. You may have seen my yay tweets. I do have a number of them.
I got a little more annoyed with him when I asked him if he thought that Messi was great because Messi made good decision making abilities, and he said yes, and then I was like, okay, clearly, like,
this sounds like a disagreement. This sounds like two people using terms differently, but
yes, yeah. Well, I think to some extent, he was like, look, he was trying to make a specific point, right? And I was making fun of him because he said decision making ability as if it was this like grand thing that like you could use to essentially man, it's been a while, so I might be getting pieces of this wrong, but
like do anything in any domain or something.
Yeah, it's like he was essentially collapsing all forms of intelligence or of genius into decision making ability, right? And so you can say like, okay, Messi went like this way instead of that way, or did this thing instead of that thing, and that's like a decision that he made. But like as any great athlete knows, right, a lot of that is instinct. So you're not actually, the best things that you do when you play a sport usually aren't actually you like deciding to do that thing. It's you doing it out of instinct. And so
I feel like you guys would end up agreeing if you really sat down. Imagine you sat down in person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably.
When it's not over the internet. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But
anyway, my objection to it was like him using it to classify everything, whereas I was like, look, like there are like some people just have genius, and like what is the thing that's behind the decision? Anyway, so I was making a joke, right? So it was ostensibly a joke, and then he like wanted to be serious about it, and I just sort of refused to be serious.
Right.
And then I think he got annoyed at it. Anyway, so that's much more that I wanted to talk about that, but
you kept going. You got kind of caught up, and I feel like you got something a little on your mind, but
yeah. Well, I want to like. I also like don't want to sell myself or him short, right? So
totally.
It's important to like to try to do it justice without over focusing on it.
Thanks for the follow, Cray friends.
Knowing their power tweet. That was okay. So I didn't expect that one to.
I did see that
really
tweet. Did that tweet like pop off? Like what?
Yeah, I did. Okay, so. So first of all, the background to this is there was me and my friend were like talking about girls, and we were just like marveling at like how much influence they actually have.
Right.
You got a huge fight with some women friends. Listeners, you should just hop in and tell us about that fight in a second. So what happened is we were like marveling at how much influence women actually have over what we decide to do without us knowing it, right?
Yeah.
So he is like he's like into this girl who is probably not so good for him. Well, we don't know that, but there's just a long story there. But we were which ended up leading us being like, dude, girls are like, it's really difficult sometimes to look at a girl and be like, no, right? Or be like, and that translates to that translates along a lot of planes. Anyway, I think I said or he said offhand, like, do girls not understand how powerful they are?
And you were like, I gotta tweet this right now.
and then I said that, and I expected to get like 10 likes.
Yeah.
And then I posted it, and it started getting some likes and retweets, and then some, like, I don't know, some really big feminist account. I think she just straight up quote tweeted it and was like, basically like, men only see women as sexual, and I was like, you really just did not understand. The whole point of the tweet is that men don't just see them that way, and that it's ridiculous to like think that they do.
Sounds like it's a clusterfuck.
Yeah, and then it just popped off from there, and then a bunch of people hopped in, and and then eventually, like, I did my best to not actually clarify anything there, but then maybe Gray hopped in when I was confused, and actually, like, I kind of like her, so I was like, okay, like, I kind of have to explain what's going on.
Right.
And it's turned into a whole.
That's the worst, when you just want to be an ambiguous hellraiser, and then someone you like is like, but what do you mean? I'm sort of,
sort of confused, and I'm like, I don't really want to explain it. But...
You felt her power, you could say.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, precisely. Lithros, either like tell us what happened or hop in the call and tell us because I'm curious. How did
Lithros, if you want to jump in, just let me know if you're
comfortable with conflict.
All right, he's in the lobby. We're dropping him in.
Yeah,
Lithros.
I'll answer this question.
Yo, here I am.
Story.
Tell us, how did Teddy ruin your life this week?
I wouldn't say my whole life was ruined, and I get in fights with these particular friends all the time just because we have different ways of looking at the world. So, you know how it goes. But anyway,
totally.
I'm in a Discord with some people that we just like hang out and chat about any random subject. There's no special theme to the Discord, and I wanted to talk about this idea because I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And that cool in the sense that it raises some interesting questions, And I just like the idea of looking at things from a different perspective and saying, something that you call one way is actually another way. I have a tweet that's about this, actually, which is really perfect encapsulation of that concept. But anyway, that's for another time. So, I was discussing the concept, and they were like, no, if women were powerful, then they wouldn't be having all these bad things happen to them. They were just kind of not playing the game of the the little thought experiment. And I was like, well, isn't the point that women are more powerful than they realize? And they couldn't accept that. Like, the very idea that women could have power that's untapped was impossible for them to reconcile with their understanding of the world. And not just untapped, but power that other people react to. Because if other people are reacting to women having power, then maybe the women should be, more respected, less abused, etc. All the bad things that women experience shouldn't be happening to that degree if women are actually powerful. Which I guess comes to a difference in definitions of the word power, blah, blah, blah. But
I was going to say, it seems part of the communication thing here is that power is a one-dimensional thing, right? Because it's not. It's just so many different sorts of things and.
Okay,
so how did this go, though?
Well, I tried to point out maybe we're talking about different kinds of power, and maybe they're actually, like I said, the whole point of this is the power is unrealized generally. And that once you realize and start exercising power, there's nothing controversial about making a statement about it. Like someone who has power and uses it, you don't need to say that person has power. It's completely obvious. So it's only the people who don't use their power or can't use their power that have this untapped power that gets people really mad. And I started digging into some explanations for how women could have power. Particularly, I was talking about like the massive cultural influence and economic influence that primarily young women have. And my friends just really did not like hearing that because they didn't want to believe that they would have influence because they themselves personally did not feel they had experienced that influence. And so
one of the things I think is that part of the power landscape is agreements about who has what kind of power themselves, and what we say about that is part of the landscape. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's extreme. I can just see 10 reasons it's extremely contentious. It's so hard to talk about in a good way.
Yeah. So I think if I had used, I purposely didn't do this. If I used, do women understand how influential they are? Right. No one would have cared about the tweet. And to some extent, it's true, but I don't think it was all encompassing. The response made it very clear to me that many women actually do not understand how men view them, which is just as better, like much better humans. And that is, look, this is I'm generalizing here, blah blah blah. People really, really, really do not understand that in so many cases, men really care about how women who are in their lives. So not like women as some sort of collective, or right, not even necessarily women in power, but like their mom, right? People often, men care about what their mom thinks of them, and although they may react to what their mom thinks of them in unpredictable ways that the mom doesn't understand, what they are in fact doing is reacting. And so that's a really good small response. And so I think chaotic Bella, I don't know if any of you guys follow her. I can't remember her handle right now. Responded to
Rudd?
No, hold on. Let me look up.
Yeah.
But we talk about Cleopatra as being like this example of this incredibly
IT girl.
Yeah, basically. Chaotic IT girl, exactly.
Or it girl. I don't know how she
it's girl, chaotic it girl. That's her. We're like, look, like Cleopatra is a great example of this. Oftentimes,
though notably like 20, 100 years ago.
Yeah. It's just it's like the first example that comes to mind, right? Like, the thing is so in my opinion, the reason that people resented this comment so much is because people just implicitly have actually, this sort of comes back to my feminism comment, right? People have given up the framing of the idea of power to the masculine sense.
Yeah, they're like, how can we have power if we're not Don Draper?
Right. Yes, precisely. Yes, exactly.
Caesar.
Yeah, and so and then you sort of, in my opinion, it's just a really bad way of trying to consider how these dynamics work, is because when you as a society say, okay, power is this thing, and then I'm like, look, like, okay, so power does definitely exist on this plane, and like, I'm not like coming across trying to deny any of that, but what I was really simply doing is saying there is actually a whole nother brand of power out there that is feminine coded that no one understands exists because no one wants to understand that it exists.
It's also interesting too, because, well, first of all, I think one of the things that gets people is when you say person XYZ is powerful, if that is agreed on in the narrative after that, some kind of egalitarian instinct comes in, and it's like you're saying they should be taken down a notch. I think people jump to thinking you're saying that, right? That's one thing, and that's obviously going to be controversial, especially for the person you're talking about. What literally, before anyone has even gotten to asking whether it's true or not, it's just like it seems like a move, The other thing that's interesting is in a lot of, we're talking about historical stuff. In a lot of historical societies, the thing that I think you're probably talking about, that I would guess you're talking about, in terms of female power, was often more formal. And so in Rome, you have the Vestal Virgins, and it's a weird kind of, it's like, it's not exactly, it's not sexual power. They're not, it's not sexual power in the sense of like, that like powerful courtesans of kings and, like mistresses. It's not that type of sexual power, because the virgins, right? The Vestal, but at the same time, it clearly is a type of sexual power because the virginity is part of it, right? And it's this kind of, and the Vestal Virgins would do rituals, and they're, it's talked about in these ancient texts that there's these, rituals that men were not allowed to be around for, and types of like divination that does affect ways that power is conducted in the society, and like ways that they would gate decision making, kind of like in an oracular sense. And anyway, at the end of the day, it's just sort of mind-bending to think about this throughout history, ways that it has been formalized, and in our modern society, I don't know that it is. And a lot of times, formality makes things more legible and more understandable. And so,
to a certain extent, though, all we have from history is what the men saw fit to record. Right?
True.
So all we really know about those historical eras is the power women exerted that formally and directly affected men.
Totally.
And any of that soft social influence that you can see kind of like hinted at, like, in the king's wife's courtly involvements, that stuff is just mostly in the shadows or lost to history. And I feel like you can just listen to women talk today, and you can hear them describe all these complicated social nuances of how women interact with each other that go way over the heads of men for the most part.
Totally.
And they are all aware that there are these underlying power dynamics between women that exist and impact all of them. And they're not formalized. They just are there. I think the core of this confusion about women having power is that women assume those dynamics do not affect men at all and cannot affect men. And maybe they're thinking power is everything other than how you influence people with that stuff. But I mean, as a man, I know I'm often influenced by subconscious, informal social dynamics that women toss around. And maybe they're just thinking men are blind to them because we so often don't notice them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's on more than one occasion, right? I've sort of realized that in some way I was reacting to what, a woman, like a girlfriend, or not a girlfriend, or my mom or my sisters were doing without me realizing it later, but they completely understood what they were doing. And that's a good example. That's one of those things that I think is a really interesting example of this type of thing. You end up sort of doing things without your understanding why you're doing them is really potent.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's interesting you brought up the mother thing, because I yesterday just ran into, I had kind of known it existed but didn't know that it existed. This song "Hey Mama" by Kanye West. And his relationship to his mom is a huge theme through his music, and a lot of time it is exactly what you were saying. It's this, for him, the thing he talks about is this drive to have his mother be proud of him, right? But also he's Kanye West, also he's kind of nuts. He's kind of offensive, more than kind of offensive to a lot of people. And it's interesting. It was interesting to see him put a positive spin on that, where, "Hey Mama," it's not just like, I hope my mom, it's very I don't know, it's very good vibes. It's very loving, right? And it's sort of, I didn't actually even know that was in his stuff. I mean, a really good example of how it's not ideal, but if you go back and you read King Arthur stories, like Gawain and the Green Knight or something along those, though a lot of those end up becoming more explicit versions of informalized, or they become formalized understanding of how relationships between men and women are supposed to work, right? And formalized acknowledgments of how the power that women have. And so it's, to some extent, right, a lot of people go back and they say, you don't want to go back to medieval gender relations, blah blah, whatever. This is totally fair, totally fine. There is something interesting, at least, in looking at some of these relationships and going, okay, they really formalized what
the informal abilities that women had over men in a lot of these situations. And to some extent, it's hard to know whether that is a good thing or a bad thing, because if your power is informal and is not so acknowledged, right, maybe it's more potent. But if it is acknowledged and it is formalized, then by acknowledging it, perhaps it makes you more powerful. So it's sort of is an interesting which side of the equation do you want to be on, and then what does that look like? What I don't like, and I think something that we've gotten back to, is the Don Draperization of feminine power, right? One of the reasons being, many more men are able to at least fake that type of personality and that type of achievement than women, because we're psychos. So if you sort of define power that way and define it along those lines, you end up, in my opinion, creating some real problems for women, because men are crazy, and we can sort of do that sort of thing is more easy for us, more natural than I think it is for a lot of very kind-hearted, noble, great women. So,
and you could have that view, sort of have it be on the basis of different causes. I mean, I know like whole genetic stuff comes in, and that's itself a whole other layer. But it could just be cultural. Yeah. Dancing Horse says, I think some of the problem comes from this. If you only have this informal soft power if you are admired by someone. Luther says, what about fear? Power by fear isn't what I call soft influence. I actually disagree with that personally, Dancing Horse, because fear of ostracism is the thing that comes up for dudes around women's opinion of them. I have a friend who he came to me once, and he's like, had this insight where he was like, holy shit, women have a hive mind. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And what he's trying to allude to is that from a man's perspective, sometimes it can seem like when the women go and talk to each other, they could decide your fate. You know what I mean? Like there's like information being passed around about you, and you fucked something up, or you weren't good in some way. I mean, I think it is both. Dinsker says, I see that as more of a desire to belong than fear. I'll just tell you, there is fear also. There is, I mean, like terror. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm not going to lie to you. If you're into a girl, right, and you see what I call this the posse, by the way.
Yeah.
When you're into a woman and you see the posse gathering and you're terrified of, you really like this girl, right? That's a scary moment, Anyway, I don't. We've talked about this for a little while.
Yeah.
Do you want me? There's a question that I wanted to get back to here, which is, how did Teddy get so comfortable with conflict?
Sure.
Drop out of the voice before you get started.
Oh yeah, totally. Thanks for coming on, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother. How did I get comfortable with conflict? It's probably it. So I'm gonna get to the things that are probably like you can't like necessarily recreate, and then maybe some things that you can. I have 4 siblings.
Yeah.
I'm the oldest of 4. That helps a lot. That really does help. I would, as I am a little bit of a natalist, and as someone who grew up with quite a few siblings, I would encourage larger. I think larger families just have some advantages that sort of smaller families don't.
You stand big families.
Obviously, context matters, all that good stuff. In my opinion, having 4 siblings was just one of the most important things for me developing some of my rare good characteristics. So I'm the oldest of 5. I have sort of a naturally combative personality. If you've taken the Big 5 personality test, I'm decently high on disagreeableness. There's a couple things. So okay, if you want to be okay with conflict, there's a few things that you can sort of work on. Number 1, it's a lot easier to work. So if you want to be good at conflict, it's helpful to be funny.
Uh-huh.
Because you know that if you and you can that's a skill. You don't need to be hysterically funny, but you just need to be able to make a joke that enough people will grin at, that it'll kind of forestall things.
You can delay
Yeah,
Ragnarok.
yeah, exactly. Um, Another good thing is figuring out who you're willing to be in conflict with, right? So my tolerance for conflict is different depending on who I am with. So my tolerance for conflict with my mom or with
Mm-hmm.
my sister or brother is different than my tolerance for conflict on Twitter. Um,
Totally.
and so I sort of, if you want to sort of be able to, being able to be okay with conflict is a little bit of a skill, and it's something you can develop over time. It takes a little bit of practice, but you sort of want to find a community which is intellectually stimulating, and either you guys are all so close that you're actually fine with conflict, or you guys aren't close enough where conflict is shattering for you.
Mm.
So there's a midway section where you're really close, but you guys aren't close enough to understand how conflict works or be okay with that. So it's like sort of like when you go over to a friend's house, right? Like their mom gets them in trouble, right? And you're really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's the sort of like level of conflict. But like when you're with your best friend, right? And it's okay for you to get in a fight with him because he's still your best friend,
Right.
Um, so so you sort of want that. You also want something. You want to just look for things that you sort of. A good way to go about conflict is to find things that you don't take too seriously. Yeah, it is. Default brain state is absolutely to enjoy a non-zero amount of conflict. But of course, like depends on how much you want. So
One thing I've noticed is that people define it differently. I've had people who,
yes,
I think of it kind of like hot and cold. So there are people who tend to prefer hot conflict, and within reason, I am definitely one of those. Versus cold conflict, where it's sort of like, would you rather the conversation get heated, someone insult somebody, right? Or would you rather keep things formal, keep things polite, even though there's this under the surface, kind of brutal fuck you kind of energy that then goes away. That I think is a personality thing that I've noticed.
Yeah, no, for sure. A really good thing is to sort of, if you can remain. So one of the important things is if you can remain light, hot conflict boyfriend, cold conflict girlfriend. If you can remain lighthearted,
Yeah.
right? So you can be angry, but if you can avoid sort of descending into anger, when you have conflict, it's a lot easier to feel okay with actually fighting people, because if conflict is a lot more enjoyable when you are comfortable, you're continuing to make yourself comfortable by avoiding the fight or flight instinct, right? So when I fight on Twitter, which I don't very often, most of the time I'm just like ironically pointing out something that makes the other person mad at me. What I'll do is I'll make jokes, right? So I'll show it to like a friend of mine. I'll show the tweet to like a friend of mine and be like, "Look at this," right? Or I'll send it to a group chat and mock it, or I'll just I'll make jokes to myself, and that's a good way to be okay with conflict. The other thing is to know like which things. So then there's also real life conflict, which is I really do think this may be sort of, I don't know how people are going to take this, but being comfortable with violence in real life helps a lot. So whether it's going and shooting guns, or doing martial arts, or something along those lines, you can really contextualize conflict and violence by actually going and participating in violence. And I am a decently big proponent. It's been a little while since for aforementioned reasons that I was really sick. It's been a little while since I've been a participant in some violence. But for example, growing up, as a young man with my with my brother, right? And sometimes we'd bloody, one of us would get a bloody nose or whatever. That right, that makes you comfortable with everything leading up to that, because you sort of know your boundaries, you know where things get out of hand, and you sort of like know how to handle it. So yeah, it's essentially, there's a lot of things to say, most of which boil down to practice conflict.
It's interesting. I think I agree. By the way, this place looks like a big cinnamon bun.
Yes, sir.
Covered in fucking powdered sugar. Delicious.
Forever Baelish. Baelish? I don't know. I can't. I'm
Peter
sorry.
Baelish?
I tried to do. Oh, that could be it. Yeah, it's. Okay. All right. Anyway, what were you saying?
Pretty verbalish. I think I agree, actually, that... So, I was big into martial arts when I was younger. It was a huge thing for me. It made me a lot more... I just felt solid as a person, confident and stuff, growing up and whatever. It's interesting because I'm not sure I would go so far as to call a lot of that violence per se, even if you're punching each other gloves on. I think it's the word violence is quite it covers a lot of ground, and some of that is fucked up shit, and some of it's not as fucked up shit. And but I think I generally agree. I think directionally,
Yeah. No. So I should say that I think that I should be a little more specific. Conceptually, things like martial arts exposes a lot of people who maybe have never been exposed to, how many girls really, really roughhouse with their brothers growing up, right?
Depends on the family, I think.
Yeah,
but
depends on the family.
Yeah.
But for many,
in my family, we roughhoused. Yeah.
In my family, right, boys never hit girls or we were in trouble.
Yeah.
So
in mine, boys never hit girls or we were in trouble and I got in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, but conceptually, I think that you make a good point. I should clarify that conflict is hard to understand unless you've been in physical conflict with someone.
Part of the physical conflict. Sorry to cut you off. It's just I think part of the physical conflict idea is that you can attain comfort with this marginal state that is it's Simba, and biting his friend or whatever. I actually don't remember the movie. I mean, it's this play fighting that animals do, right? You get comfortable with this state that is not maximum adversariality, and learn that it is not maximum adversariality, right? If you haven't ever done that, maybe the first time somebody raises their voice, you might be freaked out because you're like, this is it. It's time to fucking die or kill something, right? That was my thought.
Yeah, for example, when you're rolling in jiu-jitsu, what you learn over time is how to disassociate yourself, and instead of become swept up in the fact that you're essentially wrestling with someone,
right.
You understand what they're doing rather than understand what's happening to you. And being able to step back even while you're in conflict, both virtual and physical. That's a huge part of being able to keep your wits about you. And so that's one of those things that I'm look, if you can step back, take a deep breath, understand what's going on, contextualize it, and then come back to it, right? And if you can do that while you're on the mat with someone, right, you can definitely do that while you're on Twitter with someone.
Yeah, it's not a bad thought. I've been wanting to get back to some of that, but obviously COVID is an interruption.
That definitely is easier said than done. And that's one of those things. That's why you do it. That's why you do it in practice, right? So one of the things is I'll practice trolling my friends, right? And we can do that in our house because we're all sort of similar personalities and we make similar jokes, and so I practice a lot of like my style of humor in places where it doesn't have consequences, and then I'll take it into places where it does have consequences. So
yeah, it's interesting. I feel like a vibe, an ethos I'm kind of getting, or the way I might say it is something like, you're kind of you are kind of needling people basically, but I actually think that and I'm kind of like this too, that the ethos of conflict tolerance is actually, ideally, I think, is an anti-conflict thing. Not an anti-conflict thing, but it's like an anti, like, I mean, conflict taking over the world. It's anti,
right.
It's actually anti-violence, right? To say we can be comfortable with the edges around here, and especially part of that is navigating out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the term he didn't know his strength, or he doesn't know his strength, right, is simultaneously a compliment for his strength, but also ultimately a condemnation upon, right, the individual in question, where they haven't employed their strength and measured it in a way that they can assure they can use it in the right way.
Right.
So, if you don't try, so if you are, right, a disagreeable person in the big five sense, right, you ought to practice your disagreeableness in contexts where you can measure it and figure out what it does, so you can apply it correctly. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to go onto Twitter, right, and go at Igan and just call him names, right? That's because he like said something dumb, which I'm not saying he did say anything dumb, and just using him as an example. Because that doesn't actually do what disagreeableness could be interesting to do with, and it is destructive. What's much more interesting, something that I try to do more of, right, is sticking pricking at the places where I see people sort of not thinking about something the right way, or where even maybe they are thinking about something the right way, but they're like not thinking about it in context or whatever, right? And I can just like throw a little something in there as a joke, right? But just to raise enough conflict in order to get them to think. I mean, now to be fair, sometimes I throw something in there just to watch the conflict rise because it is sort of fun.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of very good, you have to be able to know what you're doing and what will happen, and if you don't,
totally, I'm in favor. Go forth, Teddy.
Go forth and troll.
Go forth. Use your powers for good. You ever play this game, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance?
No, what's that?
So it's a weird kind of knockoff branch of the Metal Gear Solid series where you play. So basically, I'm going to tell you the history here just because I'm a nerd. So in Metal Gear Solid 2, okay, you play as. So let's start back. Let's back up back in history.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Metal Gear Solid 1. You play this super badass Snake, right? He's this grizzled motherfucker. He talks like this. He's like a fucking badass, right? Metal Gear Solid 2 comes out. You start the game. You're playing as Snake, kicking ass. You love it, right? Little do you know that, like, pretty much 20 minutes in the game, they're going to switch you to this guy, Raiden, all right? Raiden is this blonde-haired dude who's always talking to his girlfriend on the phone. And a lot of people hated Raiden because they wanted to be Snake, and they're pissed about this. They thought he was too feminine, etc. Later on in the series, Raiden becomes a fucking cyborg ninja with a gritty voice of his own. And it's kind of like they tried to revise it to like satisfy the people who hated Raiden to make him this badass. So in Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, he's this cyborg ninja with a katana, cuts people in 20 pieces with his fucking laser speed, whatever. But one of the themes of that game is he kind of holds himself back from going ape shit. Like total. I think he's like his backstory. He's from Conflict Zone. He was like a child soldier. Zandatsu, says Luthras. revealing once again that he knows more Metal Gear Solid lore than me.
More than everything than us.
More than everything, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of the themes is using the blade for good, and so kind of Raiden kind of goes ape shit, and then he kind of returns to, wielding the sword in service of peace.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just what I was thinking about with what you were saying, yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. I actually have a instinctual dislike of communities with no versions of conflict. Which is one of the reasons why I actually found the post rats very interesting and very infuriating at the same time.
We could totally talk about this, dude. We could totally talk about this.
I'm down. Because while I love them, I am here to start up just the smallest of little bits of conflict. So I don't mind.
So I don't know if you've ever seen me bitching about the cozies. Teddy's talking about post rats. I don't know exactly what category of people he means.
No one does.
No one does. But
definitely not me though. I think
definitely not you. Right. The ones that aren't you.
The ones that are.
Yes.
No, so the thing, so for those of you who don't know the lore, I stole an old deleted account's handle, who had deleted his account for a variety of reasons. The primary one being that he had lied to basically everyone about who he was. And he was a raccoon, and a lot of the people who had followed him, I didn't really know how to use Twitter at that point, but some of the people who had followed him were post rats.
Yeah.
And I followed like maybe Eigen, Celine, and like one other at one point, and then like slowly was like, oh, they're talking about interesting things. I wonder what they're talking about. And then was like, okay, they are talking about interesting things, but they're all just agreeing with one another. And it drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Because for a community which I think oftentimes is so interested in is like simultaneously bought in and yet so distrustful of modernity, they really like didn't look to traditionalism, or didn't take traditional ideas or thought seriously.
It's true that post-rats are not broadly trad.
Yes.
It's probably true.
So, but more than that. So that was like my first instinct, right? I was like, okay, like this is sort of odd. I'm curious why they don't like talking about like this stuff more. The more of them I started to follow, I was like, what? Literally no one can disagree with one another, and if they do want to disagree with one another, they end up like coding everything under so many layers of double speak that no one actually knows what they're saying.
That's an interesting take. Okay, so here's what I'll say. One thing I appreciate about the sort of post-rat Twitter area is it not being a culture war shithole.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. That's actually one of the things that the first place that I came back to was like conservative Twitter, and it was exhausting. And so I was like, get me out of here. No, though I still like do love and follow a lot of those accounts. Yeah. Please, like, for the love of God, stop talking about it all the time, because it's the only thing you talk about. It gets super frustrating super quickly.
Right. Eric says, I think the focus on annoying meta level shit is also why we're so cozy. I'm just butthurt about getting kicked out of a group chat, Teddy.
Did you get kicked out? What happened?
I got kicked out of a group chat. I'm letting it all out here. Listen, I don't bear ill will towards people, but I do pay attention to what they do. Okay?
Yeah.
I got put in a group chat called Cozy Chat.
Yeah.
Lithros added me against protocol. I got booted, and some people thought that I left of my own accord. But no, what actually happened is I learned that Egg Prophet fucking soft booted me. Yeah. He like blocked me and unblocked me or something like that. I got booted from this channel, and I was just like, what the fuck, dude? And I don't have any real beef beyond that, except for I like being included in things. But I also understand people need to set boundaries, need to pick their whatever. But let me tell you, I do wonder. I did start to wonder. I did start to think about it. Is there some kind of cultural vibe that I violate? Am I a cozy person? That's an interesting question. What does it mean to be cozy? And so, anyway, I've got a sort of fucking theory, but, you know.
Yeah. So cozy Twitter sort of is like, the best way to explain it is a bunch of people who are doing their best to be literally as illegible as possible while trying to be cute about it.
As illegible. Or legible.
Yeah, as illegible.
You're right.
Illegible. And
I don't mind you're talking about people spelling shit wrong.
Yeah, but it becomes sort of the spelling shit wrong is like not the worst part. It's not like the spelling shit wrong part is like probably the entertaining part about it.
Okay, yeah. I have no beef with the wrong spellers.
No, the wrong. Although I will make fun of them until Kingdom Come for not being able to actually read anything they say.
It's your prerogative.
I will. Okay, the other thing I will say is that. So okay, look, I am like not like never have object level opinions person. I do think it really helps. I am a huge favorite of keeping cultural conversation out of the timeline as much as humanly possible, or like culture war stuff out. And I think Ian is probably right about that. Totally. I really the place where the people who like really want object level opinion stuff to be included is that they're really annoying about it, and they should shut the hell up. It's just do it or don't do it. Don't comment on like the fact that you want to do it.
I haven't been too caught up on that whole spiral of meta analysis
I
and
think
adjudication.
That's over. That happened a while ago. I think, I don't really know what happened to that. But so anyway, back to the original point. Like, there's like, look, the post rats are great because they refuse to have culture war stuff. And let's talk about culture wars. Yeah. So the thing is we're always like, everyone's like always like vaguely gesturing to the culture war stuff, but no one's actually talking about it. Because I think the community probably would. I think there are probably people on very different sides of the culture war with inside the community.
But also, this is to me one of the precious things, right? If you can have people on the opposite side of certain kind of this set of issues that our broader society has decided to tear itself to shreds about. If you can have people who disagree on that shit who can chill, maybe that's the good thing. Maybe that itself is the good thing.
Yeah, so that's really good. Though what happens is on the things that then they decide to talk about, that like sort of like quote unquote orthodoxy or lack of willingness to end up like having a little bit of conflict ends up sort of cementing this groupthink around the zeitgeist of the day in the community, where sort of like
you want to trad pill people. That's what I'm hearing. You want to trad pill people, and they don't want to be trad pill because they don't want to talk about.
No, not necessarily. No, I wouldn't even care so much if people didn't like care about trad stuff or not.
Yeah.
Right? What I think would be much more interesting is if anyone were willing to disagree with anyone about like post-rat orthodoxy.
All right, let's disagree about it. Let's find something we disagree about.
So I think, for example, that post-rats dabblings in magic are probably not good and should not be encouraged.
Oh, that's interesting. Shit! I'm having trouble with this plane here. Give me a second to. Holy fucking shit, dude!
No, I'm definitely not a post-rat. Just get out of
here. Why is this happening right now? I'm not sure why my plane is doing this.
Send yourself into this.
Like a fucking.
Just point your nose down and try to settle it by going down. Yeah.
I think that just worked. That's just. Why did that just happen?
I read too many World War I fighter plane novels, so
that's how they tip the nose.
Broke.
You might save my life someday.
You just point the nose toward the ground.
Yeah.
And you should be able to break out of your uncontrolled fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trip Robert says one day Michael will follow me back. Dude, I don't follow a lot of people back, and it really is not a personal thing. It's just I'm just so fine with how my timeline is. Yeah. I just am fine with it. And then
basically, for me to follow someone, I have to see like a really interesting tweet or take from them that really makes me think, or they have to be really funny in my replies. I don't
even have that. I'm just like, there's so much funny shit out there. I'm happy. I see it. I'm just totally content.
And then every month I go back and purge followers. So like, through no fault of your own, like if I haven't seen like a tweet of yours in a week and I can't remember like why I followed you in the first place, like I'm just unfollowing you. Wait, have I, Eris? Really? Hold on, let me make sure I'm still following you. I'm pretty sure I have. Yeah, I still follow you. We're good. Wait.
We can talk about magic, though. I think, okay, here's my bold proposition. I think some of the magic experimentation is fine and good.
Oh, Evil Lithros. Yeah, I'm sorry, Lithros. I turned Evil Teddy into like an alt. I'm still trying to figure out how to use an alt, but if you want to follow the like personal alt, go ahead and I'll follow you on it for sure.
Rival soft blocked you. What does soft block mean? Does that just mean muting?
No, so it means block and then unblock. So you both unfollow each other, but you're not actually blocked.
Right.
Being muted, I think, if you're a mutual of someone, being muted is worse than being blocked.
Yeah, being muted is pretty bad, I think. That's true.
I think, because if you're being blocked, they're letting you know, but if you're being muted, then like they're allowing you to like continue. Yeah.
Well, Luther says don't qualify, but Eris says you don't follow Eris.
I'm pretty sure I follow Eris. I follow Eris right now, right?
Plus Masquerade. I don't know, man.
Eris.
No.
Wait, this is Eris, like as in at Eris Nirung?
No, at plus Masquerade. Bro.
Sorry, plus.
Oh, was there picnic and bonfire? That's sick. I'll check it. I'll check that out. Vogel.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Sometimes. Sorry, Eris. Sometimes I just unfollow people when I haven't seen your tweets in a while.
Teddy's such an asshole.
That's just like the way. That's just like the way that it has to be. I'm sorry.
That's the way it is.
That's the way that it is.
All right. So do we disagree about the magic people?
Yeah, I think we do. We can. You want to model some conflict for some people?
Yeah, let's go. Quit trying to hit me and hit me.
I'm not like one of the people that's like magic isn't real. I think it probably is. Blah blah blah. I, as a Christian, so this is the background on a lot of this.
Yes.
I am of the opinion that magic is really cool.
Yeah.
And it is also something that is super easy to like run into. You're basically pulling power from the wrong thing. And I have some real. I simply think that when you look at people being like, look how cool it is that I'm doing magic or whatever, right? Do you think it's impossible to use well? Or just hard?
We'll hear.
That's a really. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
We'll make some kind of opening statement so we can get the back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. I'll make an opening statement. Look, if you're using, can we define magic? That's like trying to define a post-rat. If you're using magic, I think the risk that you're going to do something stupid, because people always do incredibly stupid things with power, right? Is way too high, especially when you don't understand what it is that you're dealing with. So that's my opening statement.
Okay, here's my counter. I'm not gonna like define magic. I'll just give some example, pre-verbalish. There are people who do things like they use tarot, They, you know, I mean, here's how they would describe it, and you can make your own decision about what it means. They use tarot. They try to make pacts with spirits, meaning that they're like sitting there thinking about it as though they're making pacts with spirits. They're buying souls. They're doing rituals. They're, you know, setting up little altars in their room to talk to different ideas in their mind or not or whatever. There's a variety of different things that count far more than everything I just said. So here's my counter. I think you're right that people can make errors. However, I believe that given the state of society, I'm not big on normalcy. I'm not big on thinking that normalcy is good, basically, and I think there's a lot of problems. So my view is that people finding their own way in the world, including through like means that they describe as magical, is not. I think I'm like experimentation good because the alternative not necessarily good. You know, that's my comment.
So here's a slight rebuttal to that. I think there are a lot of weird things you can do that are actually probably much more beneficial. So I think that you're right. Like being weird is good, and being normal, being able to pretend that you're normal is probably good. Being just normal is not bad, but it's not good necessarily either. I do have a take about normal people as being the mechanic or the perpetuation of civilization is noble. So anyway, so what I should say is, look, like I'm not saying like if you're out there like doing tarot card readings, like I hate you, right?
Right.
What I do find concerning is the community's encouragement of such activities with sort of with absolutely no like
carefulness or something.
With no carefulness, right?
I think this is partially because they don't really believe in it a lot of the time, to be honest.
Yes. No, I totally agree. Which is probably too low. Vogel says 30%, which is probably
30% believe in magic for real. I think it's lower. I think believing in magic for real is a state you might attain after years of effort, and when you finally let go of something else, I think it's hard to like believe for real.
More people should. I think magic is probably real, and that's why I take it seriously. Though I think that maybe some of the things that I saw tarot card readings from Magic the Gathering cards the other day, and I
shat yourself.
The conflict lover almost lost his mind. So, and this is also, look, like I'm not like dunking on people who practice magic in the community here.
Yeah.
But there are ramifications to the seeking and employment of power without any sort of guide rails, especially when, as a Christian, as I do, you think that magic doesn't necessarily come from a holy place. And so, you know, oftentimes this is why we like build tradition and institution and all these sort of stuff, is to provide checks and balances for people who are looking to obtain power or are looking to obtain meaning, and to give them like a stable environment to do so. And oftentimes, right, like if you're reading like, you know, like the most famous like of these institutions are often quite harsh with their guidelines because they know like where you can get out of bounds. The problem with magic is you can just like sort of try to do whatever the hell you want. You don't really know what you're doing. There's no one there to tell you, hey, this is like this. Look, like if this stuff is real, which I'm not even sure it is, like if you're one of those people, but if this stuff is real, you really ought to be like vastly more careful than you were. So like one of the things so like one of the things like when Lim was like buying souls, right, like I'm not even sure that could be done, you know. But even willingness to be able to sell your soul in some ways is a spiritually compromising thing, right? So I took that maybe a little more seriously than other people. So you do have to do a religion thread. I took that maybe a little more seriously than other people in the community. It was like, look, like this is this is really funny. I'm not gonna lie, it was hysterical. By the way, the whole thing was hysterical. But you know, you cannot simply ignore spiritual ramifications because, like,
Yeah. Okay, here's my new rebuttal.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's all probably true. However,
Yeah.
as a Christian, as you are a Christian, I think that
Yeah.
one of the challenges that faces your worldview in the world is materialism. And
Yes.
I would contend that materialism is a stronger combatant than all the people who are fucking around with tarot cards and stuff. And actually, people doing magic might be sort of a, enemy of your enemy kind of.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Materialism is more self-evidently dead, right? Materialism, I don't think I actually need to do as much work proving wrong, or not wrong. Like, I'm admitting, like, this is right. That magic is probably real. Materialism is so wrong that I don't think you actually end up needing to do much to refute it. Right?
So many people believe in it. Sam Altman tweeting about it. He's like, you are just energy going through neurons. Do you see that tweet?
Right. I think I might have seen it somewhere. The problem is like,
a lot of people are materialists. I'll throw that out there.
No one actually wants to be a materialist. This is the real problem. Let's talk about materialism.
Yeah. Materialists
are idiots because they are battling the human desire. 100% believe it. I love it. Like you, love you. Look, materialists sort of. There's a meme. Where is the meme? I'm pretty sure I might have tweeted it out recently. I'm gonna look for it while I hunt for this. Anyway, one of the things with materialists is like they're really asking. Here it is. I'm putting the link in chat right now. Oh, hold on. I gotta log in. I forgot. Here, can I DM you the link? Can you put it in?
Yes, you can.
It's like a whole ordeal. Here, I'm DMing you the tweet right now. So,
well, in fact, I can even just. Is this offensive? No, it's not.
No. The issue with materialism is that the human instinct. It's battling the eternal human instinct.
Yeah. So small.
And yeah, I mean, you can just link the tweet or whatever.
Yeah. It's up on screen.
Cool. So
yeah.
That's sort of the meme, right? And that, in my opinion, makes materialism a much less dangerous thing because I think that much of the political angst right now is actually a reaction against a sort of understood materialism.
That's
right?
interesting.
Where people ran into so what ended up happening, right, is society ran into this problem with everyone has this like lack of meaning.
Yeah.
And the reason that there's a million different reasons why. Love you. Hey, bye, Vogel. Love you.
See you, man.
The reason that people end up amongst many other, but one of the primary reasons is that people just kind of like adopted materialism, and in my opinion, that ends up materialism ends up being self-defeating because it doesn't tell anyone that anything that they instinctively want to hear. So a bunch of people hear
I think
what they consciously want to hear, right? So you tell a bunch of people, look, you're in control of your fate, focus on self-improvement, like do like all the things that come along with materialism. The problem is, like, as much as you don't want to admit it, there's a reason that people have acted the way that they have for the entirety of human history. You simply can't transcend within like 2 to 3 generations the religious instinct, right? Simply because you have technology, you cannot transcend beyond the human need for religious meaning, which, by the way, might tell you something about the reality of the world, considering that everyone sort of like wants this. Um, anyway, so all of that to say, I am less worried about materialism because I think to some extent people instinctively or subconsciously realize it to be deficient compared to let's say like quote unquote paganism. I don't really have a better word for it.
Yeah.
But and paganism in the like traditional sense, like the Greek mythology and stuff, is actually quite interesting and as some people, including Chesterton, would argue, quite good. But I think that there is like real danger in people using magic as an actual tool instead of as a story.
Right.
So when you end up saying like Greek mythology is real or Norse mythology is real, what you really end up saying is, and a lot of this comes from Chesterton.
Yeah.
What you really end up saying is I wish these things had happened, right? But when you go about using magic, which is probably real, what you're saying is I want to manifest these things. And the issue with that, right, is that the things that you have to interact with to change reality are often much more powerful and much more capable than you yourself understand. And given your own limitations and given the limitations of like human, just read Macbeth, given the limitations of human ambition and wisdom, when you try to change like the nature of reality or even try to interpret the nature of reality through something as powerful as magic, which you don't understand anyways in the first place, you run gigantic risks.
Yeah, okay, so it does seem that our disagreement comes down to the relative stickiness of materialism, because I think it is more sticky, and the relative... I think most people are not going to... Like, mostly people, I think, don't really harm themselves with this magic type stuff. I think...
Yeah. No, but, like, so that is in the context of...
You need to be sort of good at it to fuck yourself up with it, or do something stupid like mix it with a lot of drugs, which was dangerous anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
So the thing is like, what happens when people do try to do something? What happens when people like think that they can? Like they've been fucking around doing like like they've been doing tarot card readings, right? And then they're like, let me graduate to something a little bigger, right? It isn't so much. It isn't so much the like, hey, I'm going to do tarot card readings on Twitter tonight, right? It's the attitude towards magic in general without all these other things that ends up becoming dangerous. And to be honest with you, on the unbridled search for reality shifting or reality interpreting shortcuts is just by nature de facto dangerous, even if you have like an institution around it, right? So, tarot yes, tarot is... That's probably 100% right. But I'm just using tarot cards as a stand-in for quote-unquote low-level magic.
Yeah, Trip says, I really think if you push people, like 2/3 of them would admit that tarot, etc., is basically an intuition pump or salience shifting device.
What do I think of psychedelics? I actually tweeted what I thought about psychedelics. So this is a good example.
Psychedelics underestimate their power. How powerful they are.
Yeah. So I tweeted this last night. This is a good example of how I tweet. All these idiots who keep recommending LSD or MDMA don't realize I'm already on mind-altering drugs. I just call it the TL. So like that's simultaneously like a really dumb tweet and actually real commentary, right? So there's a lot of things to pull from that. What do I think about them? I think that they're probably good for vets with PTSD, and you should be really careful with them otherwise. Look, like if you're there are so many things in the world that can change who you are. Have I done them? No. I probably won't. I definitely won't in the near future for reasons which are somewhat personal to me, that would be somewhat doxing were I to reveal them. But in my opinion, he's in prison. Yeah, I actually have him up my butt right now. I'm gonna sell him. So psychedelics are one of those things that people look to as like their savior. They're like their mentality is savior. So I sort of like to think about modern America as a big psych ward to some extent, and a lot of people are looking for an off ramp, and they see psychedelics that way.
Right.
And so when people talk to you about psychedelics like it's some sort of savior figure, right? My instinct, as usual in these cases, right, is to go, okay, there's probably a lot more to the story here. I think that there probably ends up being a lot of good benefits, right? Like it's very clear that for vets with PTSD or people who are terminally ill, that taking I can't remember the exact drug that was used. It might have been MDMA. In tests really does help them.
Right.
But there are so many things, it seems to me, that can happen when you take exactly, shrooms for cancer patients, MDMA for PTSD. Yeah, that's right. There's so many things that can happen that personally, the experiences which God has given me through the course of my life that have shaped me into the person who I am. I'm very often unhappy with life, but I'm very thankful for the particular gifts and the particular mindset which has been given to me, right? So I sort of feel like, hey, you are, to some extent, you're just rolling the dice with some of the stuff. And I don't really feel like gambling with my personality. I think that's probably like the best. That's the best like one-liner overview of how I feel about them. I really don't feel like playing roulette with my personality, with my personality or my mentality. So that's sort of how I feel about it.
Let me ask you a question. So if you're down to talk about this, feel free to defer.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know how your kind of journey with your faith has been. What made that real for you? Has it always been real for you? What made it?
Definitely, definitely not.
Yeah. What made this want to be a part of your life in a more serious way?
So I was one of those kids raised in a Christian family. I'll gloss over some pretty important chunks here, but I'll focus on one thing that I think is the most interesting. So raised in a Christian home, faked my way through Christianity for a very, very long time. Lost everything in my life basically sophomore year of high school. Really was convinced of my need for Christianity, my spiritual and psychic need for Christianity. That summer, became a Christian that summer. But
was that a word for that? Preverbal says Kersey just asked for Teddy's testimony in Christian Talk.
Yeah, that's
the thing.
That's their testimony. Yeah.
Word.
Then I went to college. So basically, for the next 2 years of high school, didn't really care about it. Went to college and started failing everything in college.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been a straight A student to that point. All of the typical stuff, and I couldn't, obviously, you can't talk to your parents about that. You're like, what's going on? And so I thought I was going crazy, or I was just lazy, or I couldn't figure out my problem. And I got, so then I was failing out of school, and so I eventually had to tell my parents. And they took me to a doctor, and they're like, well, you might have this thing, and so they let me back. So I was actually suspended from school at this point. I was 2.5 years in, and then they ended up diagnosing me with chronic Lyme disease. And they're like, hey, this medicine that we're about to give you, it's going to take you like 2 hours. How did my parents respond to my reconversion? So they responded really well. Um, I had basically been suicidal at that point. I mean, as many like kids in high school are, and I think they're just more concerned about me. I think they always knew sort of like that I was one of those kids that was like doing it because like everyone liked him, and that was like the best way to gain attention and affirmation. Um, so they were. I actually got rebaptized. I've been baptized twice, but the first time was really just to psyop everyone into thinking that I was Christian rather than I actually cared. So I decided to do it again.
Interesting.
So anyway, so I got diagnosed with Lyme disease, and they're like, look, you're gonna do this for 2 hours a day, and you're gonna take it as seriously as you do chemo, and there's like a 70% chance you'll get healthy. Good luck.
Right. Holy shit, yeah. You did tell me this story once. We were on Discord, but it's good to hear in this context.
Yeah. So I was in bed 16 hours a day at this point. I was so sick I didn't realize I was sick, so I thought I was actually completely normally healthy at this point. Like that's how ill I was. I actually like had no ability to judge my own situation. And that then became the basis for me actually rebuilding my faith. So I knew I had like the need for God, right? And so during the process of being all this sick, like everything was stripped away from me, right? My friends, didn't have any friends for like 2 years. My family, I couldn't talk to my parents. I was failing all my classes, so I wasn't smart anymore. I couldn't go play, sports because I was like, I'd pass out, or I would almost pass out when I tried to do this. I couldn't work a job because I was too ill. So like everything got taken away from me. At that point, you're like, well, what do you have left, right? And that's sort of like, well, your faith. And so that's the context I started rebuilding it. And to be honest with you, like without faith and belief that like something else was going on, I probably just would either have it. It's totally fine. Well, I'll get to the good part here in a second. I'm actually glad that Lyme disease happened to me. So you end up with this thing where you're like so I would have died had this doctor not diagnosed me. What would have probably have happened to me is I was starting to go down the mental health path, right? And if you don't have mental health problems and they think you do and they give you drugs for mental health, what happens is it just makes it worse.
It's rough.
So they probably would have happened is I just probably would have ended up wasting away like a psych ward somewhere. And I know this because it actually happened to like a friend's uncle. That exact same thing happened to him. He died in a psych ward. They did a biopsy, turned out he had Lyme disease. So he wasn't crazy at all. So this is like, holy shit, everything in my life can be taken away from me, right? They quite literally, so like people in chat, let me just remind you, literally everything that you have can be taken away from you. That was done to me, and the only thing that I had left was like, okay, like I've got faith, like that's what I'm going to hang on to. And right, like what the thing that was important there were two things, right? It was the fact that like I believed and knew God was real, but it was the fact that even more than that, like I just needed him. So in the background, so the reason that this is all actually very good is what this did for me, though, is this ended up being a great gift for me. So Lyme disease actually ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me because there's a lot of reasons. I'll just hit a few here. Number one, like it repaired my relationship with my parents, which was horrible beforehand. Like resented my dad, didn't trust my mom, didn't talk to either one of them, didn't really like want to be associated with them in any way, right? Fixed my relationship with them, fixed my relationship with my siblings. I was like the biggest asshole. I'm still a gigantic asshole, but I was like the biggest asshole anyone had ever met beforehand, right? It humbled me in a lot of ways, like re-taught me so many things, right? Like something that I think I've tweeted about this a couple of times, right? But something that like I've gotten really annoyed about with, I think I've tweeted about it more specifically in like these self-improvement crowd
Yeah.
is people are so focused on self-improvement that they forget about things like service, you know.
Right.
And
being good to people.
oftentimes, ironically, like serving other people is one of the greatest ways to achieve self-improvement. Like you
Totally.
shouldn't go serve people because you want to improve yourself. But that, so like there's like a bunch of huge lessons that I learned, or changes that were forced upon me, that happened here, right? And I never would have learned any of this without everything in my life having stripped away, me learning like what's really actually important in those times, and things being like slowly re-added. So now, right, like I'm a semi-successful, super young professional, who, you know, got kicked out of college, got back into college, you know, landed a decent job like during the middle of COVID, all this sort of stuff. This is a long story, but like the accumulation of all of this taught me a shit ton of things about myself, but specifically about my own inadequacy and my need for faith. It's very easy for and you know, I totally understand anyone in chat who's like, look, dude, that's great, but like you can't really prove any of this. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right, but like at the same time I need it.
Right.
And I'm gonna take that need and say, look, like this in some senses is proof. There's a really interesting piece here in one of the. So I generally dislike the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe books.
Yeah.
As a series, it's just because they're just kids' books, and I don't think they should be taken as much more than that. But in one of them, and I can never remember the title of the book. It's one of the middle ones. They go into this like underground cavern, and there's this witch that basically tries to convince them that the above ground actually isn't real and the sun doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is I think it's Tumnus. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember which character says, look, like you may be right, but I would just simply rather, it is better to live in a world where like you think this is real and it's not than it is in the opposite. And it is infinitely better for me to say, look, like, hey, everything can be stripped away from me, but this, I need it. Therefore it must be, if I need it, it must be the case that there's something that satisfies that need.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like if you're hungry, there's no such thing as food, right? It's not so, if you have a need, generally there's something which can answer that need, right? And in my opinion, there is nothing quite so potent. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up, Mage? There's nothing quite so potent as religion, and nothing nearly as true as the existence of God to fulfill that need for meaning that you have. So, yeah.
What's up, Mage?
What's up, my boy? So I don't know if that, I just kind of like
it does.
a little bit.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Because, yeah. I mean, it's not. I didn't know exactly what you were going to say, but having heard it, that was what I was looking for. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that it's part of how I think about this is that the.
Hey, let's go cheese, egg, and we're just talking about it. That's awesome.
Hell yeah, religion and Christ's sanity. We'll teach Mage how stupid he sounds. Egg wants to know how old you are.
I'm 23. I'm the very first year of Zoomers.
You're the first year of Zoom. Oh, meaning if you're 24, you'd be a.
Yeah, I'm 97.
Millennial.
Yeah.
So fucking young, dude. Jesus. The thing that, yeah, I appreciated your articulation of it, and there's this sort of question about what that need is, and also it being interesting that it appeared, at a moment of like life crisis, you know what I mean? And sort of, like you're talking about that insight that like you could just lose it all, right? And I think it's a type of knowledge that is not the same as rational knowledge, right? It's which doesn't diminish it. I mean, some people think it does diminish it, basically, right? And then I think of it as being a different kind of thing. In the sense, thank you, Mage. We have refined this vibe. This vibe is a many weeks of work to this vibe. We're in India somewhere. We're in the Himalayas at least. And people describe that need differently, but it's something like that need for it's sort of totalizing somehow. It's sort of like your whole being or your whole life or your whole whatever, your whole soul, and it is sort of like you're saying asks for, at least as I understand it, sort of asks for some kind of total answer, and one that's not easily given by like, I don't know, man, why don't you just have a good career and like,
This is really why I know that we sort of like return to this, and I'm gonna actually pull this into something else. So bear with me for a second.
Yeah.
This is really why I get very, very, very annoyed with like the modern feminists here. It's because it's the exact wrong way. It has it literally the wrong way around, right? The career is not the thing which satiates, and it is not the thing which fulfills, and it really frustrates me, not just for women but for society as a whole, that this is the way that we've decided to sort of define a lot of this type of. We've decided to say this is what fulfillment is and this is what it looks like, right? So, but to a larger point,
it seems like a criticism of like secularism or like the business sort of careerist-based society. So actually, so as a very quick side note, I don't actually think feminism is nearly as radical as it makes itself out to be, because it's really just a byproduct of other social forces. Anyway, so the real challenge that I think Americans tend to have is that we're so incredibly prosperous that it's really hard to be confronted with existential need. And so that's these conditions actually enable things like rationalism, secularism, all these types of things. Not that secularism itself is an evil, but I don't remember who it was that I was joking with the other day, right? We were joking that like, oh, it was my housemates. We were basically simping for African Christianity, right? And we were like, look, like these guys are going to be dominant theologically and culturally in a few years, because they actually have existential need, and that is what drives so much of like really, really powerful really powerful movements like this, right?
So Americans are, because of their lack of need, gated or precluded from actually realizing the need and being able to properly respond to it. That doesn't mean the need, if you can't feel the need, that doesn't mean the need isn't there, right? So for example, there are people who've lost all of their like nerve feeling or their ability to feel pain, right? And that's actually incredibly dangerous for them, because like they'll like set their hand on the stove and they can't feel them before they know, like they burn their hand to a crisp, right? So it and this is somewhat the case with, you've seen this happen in Europe already, obviously, right? There ends up being a real danger in over prosperousness to the spiritual health of a nation, which is actually why which I end up being so big on space, is because space actually reintroduces the concept of existential risk. I actually think it's a great that the loss of like the threat of nuclear war although like nuclear wars, I think still a big threat. The loss of it being like a cultural zeitgeist
Right.
is problem. What kind of space? Twitter Spaces actually. No, outer space. Elon Musk is our Lord and Savior. To some extent, like having having existential risk is actually good for both individual and national spirit, simply because the existence of danger actually does really good things. So is that a
Look at this random ass building that is like look, imagine being in that building and coming outside and seeing this. Like, what?
I have questions.
What is this building?
Is that a real building?
I mean, it's in the game. Hold on. Let's, I can figure out my, location somehow.
There's not really an alternative. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, it's not like I'm going to say, like, hey, make America poorer again. But
I think that might be it. Yeah.
Talking about it, I think, is maybe perhaps a little more important than the problem is if nobody talks about it, right? So if everyone simply sits around and is like, oh yeah, like we're doing great. It's totally fine to be really prosperous and there's not much you can do about it. But something that this is why I think like Elon is so fascinating and why I like him so much.
Yeah.
Is you do have to reignite spirit in some way.
Totally.
And the only reasonable option that I see right now is the reopening of the frontier, the reopening of the danger and the excitement. And, and so I think to some extent there really ought to be. Musk is there's a lot of things to say about Musk. I think he's really one of the only people that has a good chance of reigniting. Thanks, Mage. I really think it's one of the things that has a good chance of reigniting the American spirit in a way that it hasn't been done before.
The frontier will set us free.
The frontier will, yes, actually, not ironically, frontierism is probably a non-negotiable part of Americanism.
Yeah,
and you need. So this is sort of why I have ironically tweeted in the past that if America acknowledged itself as an empire, a lot of the culture war issues would just go away. I don't know how seriously I actually take that. I don't think it's if I were to actually analyze at that point, I don't think it's a crazy idea. But
yeah,
I think that you would at least open up. Part of the thing that Teddy Roosevelt got right is he did imbue. I feel like that's backwards. He did end up imbuing America with a sort of romantic ideal.
Who?
And
Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Your namesake.
Exactly. And I think that if you could end up doing this thing to encourage almost like so what the British did when they opened up the empire, right, is they send out a butt ton of their citizens to go help administer to these places.
Totally.
Now obviously the American empire doesn't work the same way, but let's say America at least was more open to acknowledging itself as a cultural and economic empire, and it began to emphasize Americans going abroad to establish American businesses, right? I think that ends up solving maybe some of the cultural stagnation that you see, and maybe reintroduces some romanticism, maybe a la Casablanca, if any of you guys have seen that movie.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. I think there are a lot of interesting. Is that a hut?
A little hut.
There are definitely some interesting options out there, but it requires space is the most I think acceptable answer. Arid, space ends up being the most acceptable answer for some of this. and imperialism, although perhaps it should be you can debate. I sort of think imperialism may be separable from some of its dirty contexts, but I think to some extent maybe you invent a new word to encourage Americans to re-engage with global governance, not through political governance, but by cultural engagement or economic engagement.
Totally.
Why, Red? You can't plan like a rejoining or what? Okay,
I love Riddle Doodle popping in calls nerds and then
just
leaving us to deal with that. I'm into it, dude. I'm fucking sold.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoiler anything, but have you seen The Expanse?
Yeah, of course I have.
Yeah. Okay. So that fits, right? The frontier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Opening up new worlds and shit.
I really do think that the frontier, or sorry, not the frontier, The Expanse, is a fascinating piece of media, which really does get at the heart of, I think, what a lot of people really do want to see.
Yeah.
Which is any sort of national project to get excited about.
Totally.
Because most quote unquote national projects which happen now are number one public funded, which you can debate big government versus small government and all that stuff, but in our cultural climate that all ends up becoming very partisan very quickly.
A lot of times there's these things that they call these big projects. It's just like some government thing moves some money to some other government thing. There's no participation by people.
Yeah, exactly. And the space program is one of the last things with enough cultural pull, but not even with cultural pull, with enough spiritual pull to get people to really care about it and try to re-engage with it. So,
hell yeah, dude. By the way, we have crossed our 3-hour mark, so we are officially in bonus time.
Okay.
I guess I gotta eat some. You know what? I'm gonna order food. We need to build 1 billion American stuff. Yeah, there was some interesting conversation about the "It's Time to Build" article by what's his face. P. Marca.
P. Marca, yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm so hungry.
How about this? I do have to go soon.
Yeah.
However, would it be all right with you if I said, hey, if I will take any and all questions from chat for a period of undetermined time until I am tired?
Blitz Teddy with the questions. Totally. You do that while I order myself some chicken. Sounds perfect.
I will give rapid fire questions. I won't expound on any of these, but hit me with anything and everything. Double smile emoji. I will answer basically anything you asked. Maybe not everything.
I'll also think about if I've got anything for you.
Yeah. Go ahead. Let's see if anyone has anything to ask. Overrated or underrated modern abstract art? It's mostly overrated, except for like the 2 people that originated it. Most, in my opinion, so most art ends up being bankrupt. Most modern art is creatively bankrupt, and it simply exists there as. Let me phrase it this way: the best art discovers beauty. Modern art tries to create it, and then because it discovers it can't create it, it tries to subvert it and is ugly. There's only a very, 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 very limited amount of modern art which is actually in any way good. Metric or imperial? Come on. Is
that creating? Yeah. Sorry, wait. I have to get the expansion on that. Is that opinion?
Yeah.
From somewhere, the creating it versus discovering it, because it's remarkably good, and I hadn't heard it before.
I came up with it. I'm sure that someone has repeated it before, and I'm sure that someone else has come up with it before. I'm of the strong opinion that beauty is basically revealed. And so you discover beauty rather than you create beauty because it is derived from God. Something that's very similar, I forget his first name, but Norden, the inventor of the Norden bomb sight, which was used in World War II, he basically believed that his inventions were simply discoveries, were not inventions.
Cool. All right. No, I just liked it. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's got some potential. Remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely will. Metric or Imperial, as an America simp, I gotta say Imperial. Come on, it's not even a question. Do you think the amount of pushbacks on opinion this bit should be higher or lower? Definitely higher. I do. Again, I really think that post-rock community. I really like the fact that it's devoid of the culture war stuff, but I think that it has a lot of groupthink on stuff that it maybe shouldn't. This is the most important scissor. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Scissor statements are statements that someone explained this to me. Lithros explained this to me. Two people from different perspectives hear the statement and decide different directions. Fuck it, I don't know, whatever.
Okay.
It's just an evil statement.
Okay. MLK, Augustine, Francis, or Aquinas. I mean, I'm a pro, so I have to say MLK. But Augustine, I think, is really, really good. Do I mean modern, contemporary? I have no idea what the difference is. Probably modern. Just rank them if that's too crass. God, I don't know enough about the difference between Francis and Aquinas personally to rank them. People getting their 20s getting a PhD do not get a PhD. It's a trap unless you know exactly what you want to do. That's just putting in this question. I've got a unit for you. What kind of religious upbringing did I have? What's a Oh, it was MFK. Wait. Who the heck? What am I blanking? I'm really sorry. I'm blanking on someone then. Just wait. Who is MFK then? What kind of... So I moved a lot as a kid. Never mind. Sorry, Oyster. Ask me another one. I bounced around a lot as a kid. I went to Baptist. I went to non-denominational. I went to Presbyterian. I went to an Anglican in college. I will probably end up at either a Baptist or a Presbyterian. How to avoid being corrupted by money, fame, or influence? Have a great wife. Be involved in a community which you can use those in service for. Those things are only really good if, number one, you have someone who can chastise you when you're doing it wrong. So a wife is a really good example. A good mentor is another good example. And then you need to have something to use them for. So if you have money, right, having good charity, fame, if you can use that fame in order to do something with it, to serve something or influence, right? What do you call the bad, icky, whatever part of the world system learn, e.g. capitalism, colonialism, Moloch, sin? I call it degeneracy. I think who was it? What we're struggling with. Hold on. Decadence. I think one of the best ways, at least in the West, the best word is decadence. Who was it that wrote Decadent Society? I need to read it.
Ross.
Yeah, Ross Douthat.
Ross D.
Yeah, Ross Douthat. I've talked to him in person. He's a good dude. The decadence is probably the best way to describe it. The meme, good hard times breed good people, blah 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 blah. Too. Yeah, he has line. That's actually one of the reasons why I like him. Yeah, sin is something else, but sin is omnipresent, so you need something a little more specific to describe specifically now. He has Lyme, and he has it pretty severely. I actually am mostly over mine. I still take meds and things for it, but I really do respect him and like him for the way what he's done and the way that he's approached having Lyme disease. Are you trad adjacent? Yeah, I definitely am trad adjacent. You'll see me hint at some of my trad opinions.
What's a way in which you're not trad?
A way that I'm not trying. I'm like 99th percentile openness, actually.
Okay, but that's a character. Well, that's an interesting
Personality. Yeah, it's
character trait.
yeah. So a specific way that I'm not trad. I think, for example, I generally don't like have a people doing like weed, but I don't know. That's 99%. I don't think that's a pretty mainstream thing. A way that I'm not trad. Um, you know, I have less. I have a lot more. This is a very trad, not trad thing to say. I have a lot of sympathy for letting people fuck around and find out. And I think a lot of trads like want to stop people from learning life lessons. And I think a lot of times you can like tell people, look, like don't do this shit, like it's a bad idea.
Right.
And then you let them go fuck up their lives for themselves. And so, that's like a weirdly trad, non-trad. That's actually one of like the weird spots where I think like if you're not trad, you're like, yeah, people can do this and it's fine. If you are trad, you're like, people cannot do this. And I'm like, yeah, people shouldn't do that. Does that relate to decadence for you at all? Just what, weed or that specific point, Mage? What specifically? I mean, everything sort of relates to decadence, like the downfall of all institutions. At that point, so that relates to decadence in the sense that decadence caused all the institutions which would have wanted to straight up restrict people from doing things are dead. So part of the problem with decadence is that the instinct of, so I tend to just like to counterbalance a lot of the time. So you have, in a decadent society, oftentimes what you have is too many people saying, fuck it, go do it. And many of the influences or forces in society which once would have said, no, look, like there are real problems or real dangers with you doing that, like be careful, are no longer around. So that is that's where I think that might relate to decadence. I'll take 2 more, and then I promise my friend I'd go get a drink with him. So, unless everyone's done, and then I will take no more. Let's see. Nice landing, by the way, Curse.
Thank you.
Are you landing? Are you just cruising along on the ground?
Yeah, I'm trying to land. I'm holding stop, but I turned off the HUD, so I can't tell if it's working.
Origin story of my username. So the origin story of my account, which leads in the origin story of my username, is if you guys remember Proper Opinion, if any of you guys know who he is, I stole his handle after he deleted it and LARPed as him for a little while as a really big troll, and then I decided I actually liked Twitter and wanted to stick around, so I changed it to Raccoon Yeshua, which was the resurrected raccoon essentially. And then I think I got banned for saying they should burn down the FDA at some point. I think that was the reason I got banned. I've been suspended and banned a few times. And so I needed to make a new account, and I've always kind of liked Teddy, and I've always liked him, not necessarily in he's an incredible president, but I just really liked him. And I've always been kind of so none of my friends none of my very conservative, very liberal friends either like him because he straddles everything quite a bit. So he doesn't line up with anything. So I always memed on them by saying he's the best president of all time. And so I thought it would be pretty funny to try to marry I didn't want to get rid of the raccoon personality. So I married the raccoon and Teddy Roosevelt and came up with this. So one more question from anyone by any chance?
What drink are you going to order?
I will probably order an Amaretto Sour, which is amaretto, bourbon, lime juice, little bit of simple syrup, and egg white. It's really, really good.
Sounds delicious, dude. I want that right now.
It is probably it is the best moose. It sounds ridiculous. You're absolutely right. It's delicious. And if they don't have something like that, then I'll probably just get some bourbon or something like that. I also am a big fan. I think cider. I'll just say this as one of my closing remarks. Cider is a more American alcohol than beer. That's why we have people like Johnny Appleseed as American legends.
That's
and
true.
Not weird German brewers. So.
I love it, dude. American legend in the making, Teddy Rackevelt, everybody. Thanks for coming on, dog. It was a delight to have you. Kickoff season 3.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, I am honored to be on the kickoff for season 3.
Totally, man.
So I appreciate that. I appreciate you asking me on.
Yeah, no, I feel like we managed to get through it while only stepping next to some landmines, and we never actually stepped right on one, and that was awesome.
That's the key. Yeah. By the way, for anyone in chat, if you really are looking how to get away with conflict, it is really great to allow people to step on the landmines themselves. So you just get really close to it, and then they try to approach you, and then they step on the landmine and blow themselves up. So love you, Lithros.
It's their own damn problem. What else was I going to say? No, I think that's solid. And oh yeah, chat, we love you guys. Thank you for coming by. Great to see Mage, Lithros, Oyster. Who else we got? Trip. I'm scrolling up here. We had a bunch of people showing up that I haven't seen before, and anyone who's lurking. Dancing Horse, of course. Love having you guys here. Pre-Verbalish, I guess Pre-Verbalish left, but hell yeah, dude. All right, man. Let's call it here.